16 starts for Jordan Lyles, pick the most likely win and the least likely win. You would have said maybe the most likely win was, I don't know, either the Rockies or the Marlins, in which they lost those games by 5 and 5, respectively. Combined 10 runs they lost those two games by, Marlins and Rockies. And probably the least likely would be the Rays, in which they won that game by 5. Explain baseball. I don't know. I'm lost. I'm glad I didn't put any money on the Rays to win that game. It would be like if you just simply placed the money line for the team that the Royals are playing against Jordan Lyles. You would have made a lot of money this year. Made a lot of money this year, depending on how much you were betting. You would have lost money on that one, obviously, because the Royals ended up winning. But it's just so random and weird that somehow they win that game. And they split the series with the Rays. And I know Matt Quatraro was like, oh, split the series. I mean, it's not really about series. Every game you lose, you want to win every single game, and so it doesn't feel great when you lose. You come back and try to do better the next day. That's a little worrisome from an answer from Matt Quatraro. It's early in his career. But that is so Trey Hillman. That is such a Trey Hillman answer of, splitting a series with the best team in baseball. That doesn't matter. We lost the game today. And it's about every day that you lose, you don't feel good about it. And you just got to come back the next day and try to win. Yeah, no bleep, man. No bleep. But you want to win series, right? It's about winning series against teams you're playing. And when you play a 4-game set against the best team in baseball and you split that, that's a freaking accomplishment. That is something to hang your hat on for a team that has been garbage this year. They have been crap. They've been a crap-filled sandwich that Royals fans have been taking bites out of almost every single night. And they split with the Rays on a weekend where people probably aren't caring or paying attention, but it is of interest. And it's like, we split with the Rays. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not about splitting series. It's about winning games. Okay, Trey. Thank you, Trey Hillman. I appreciate the explanation on game by game. So I would like to see the manager enjoy and embrace the splitting the 4-game set with the Rays. And the fact that they are 4-5 in their last 9 games. They were 4-4 before yesterday's game. And good point by Quatraro. They lost that one. Had they won that one, they'd be 5-4 and it'd be all good. It's the second best 9-game stretch of the season for the Royals. I can make an argument it's the best 9-game stretch. Because earlier this year, from May 3rd to May 11th, they went 5-4, actually. Shockingly, they went 5-4.
Amazing.
7 of those games, though, were against the Oakland A's and Chicago White Sox. Where this going 4-5, 6 of the 9 games were against the Angels and the Rays. 4-5 or 5-4? What's better? Well, the record of 5-4 is better, but when you actually add the context of competition and who they were playing, this is the best 9-game stretch they've had this year. It's not great that it's under 500 in the best 9-game stretch.
Yeah.
But 6 of the 9 games have been against teams that are heading to the playoffs or really hot right now like the Angels. And so that's certainly noteworthy for this team that is 22-56. And they have been crap. And they've got to win 34 games in a row to get back to 500.
Seems unlikely. It's like an outside shot.
If the Royals won 33 straight games, they still wouldn't be at 500. I mean, just the thought of that if they won 33 games.
Here at the end of a 33-game winning streak, the Royals need one more to get back to that pesky 500.
If the Royals won 33 games in a row and the Twins just played 500 baseball, the Royals would be 2 games out of first.
But man, thinking about how fun it would be, it'd only be 2 games out of first.
If they won 33 games in a row. If they won 33 games in a row, they wouldn't be selling at the July deadline. So I do not want them to. It'd be awesome and fun and what a crazy story, but I'm okay with this team being 22-56 because there is no question about whether they are buyers or sellers, or do you want to just maybe give it the old college try, and the American League Central sucks, so if you can just get into the tournament and crazy things happen.
Maybe if we get one more arm in its early 30s, maybe we could fill up that 4th starter spot. 2014,
they made the wild card, and they went to the World Series, and they were a run 2 runs away from winning the thing in Game 7.
Ben Zobrist has probably got another good half season in him.
Anything can happen.
Where's Johnny Cueto?
Johnny Cueto.
Here's the thing.
Johnny Cueto.
You wouldn't have to talk very hard to convince me in a Johnny Cueto reunion.
Kansas City.
I thought it was great.
Erre Dominicano.
Sorry, I forgot the song wasn't over. Is there another?
Beat it.
R.I.P.
Muy
Popeye.
fuego.
Popeye
Johnny
forever.
Cueto.
Man loves
He's
his
our
horses.
hero.
It's like the Nikola
Fiesta!
Jokic of Major League Baseball.
So the Royals end up winning and they split the series. Does it mean anything to you?
It felt like a passing of the baton from like your fun stats of them finally winning a Jordan Lyles game in a game that Jake Diekman appeared in. He came in and struck out 3 guys. He was great, but it's, I think that there's something there.
But in all seriousness, does it mean anything to you that they're 4-5? Or are we just searching in the abyss for any silver linings? Are we in a swamp
we're in the abyss.
to wade through and look for a sliver of flashing silver something there? Or is there something more to it when we are hearing about the Diamondbacks, the Orioles, who am I missing? The Reds, the Pirates, teams that have lost 100 games in the last couple of years that are now either in first place or in the wild card hunt? Is there something to this to where, could this be sort of the beginning of a team sort of figuring out how to play baseball and win some baseball games?
Was the last losing streak was 10 games? Did
10
it stop
games.
at 10?
That's right. It was 10 games, and now they're 4-5 over the last 9 games.
This isn't just a nice stretch. This feels like a miracle. This is, and really, I mean that a little bit sarcastically, I guess, but mostly seriously. I wonder, to your point about Quachero's just sort of that, sometimes even keeled when you're down is like a nice sort of, that's something to set our standards on. And sometimes you're too even keeled. It's like, we should be a little excited that something good happened here. And I don't blame Quachero for not being head over heels because he's been there in the dugout for every one of these suckers. And that's got to wear your edge off a little bit. I wonder what it's like in the clubhouse, though. I wonder what it was like after the second win of the series and the first Jordan Lyles win, which I'm sure was a little bit of a weight off everyone's shoulders because that's just a crazy stat.
The champagne and the spraying in the locker room and looked like they won a postseason series. I thought that was extreme.
A bit much that Jordan Lyles came out in Oakley goggles for the post-game press conference. That was a little bit much.
But understandable.
But I mean, it's been a lot of starts.
Yes.
I think that at this point, winning baseball, the Royals are so firmly in the lottery and so firmly out of playoff contention that I think at this point, any series win, certainly, any upset win, any comeback, anything that is a positive dismount to get you into the day tomorrow, I think is a really nice thing to have as you pivot from total catastrophe to maybe in the back half of the season, just trying to build a clubhouse culture that doesn't stink. I'm not saying it stinks right now, but like it would be hard not to when you're in the middle of a 10-game losing streak. Can you feel like a baseball team that isn't just 3 layup victories for a team coming to Kauffman and find a little bit more of that fun again? That also has to be a miserable part of this. Everyone starts playing baseball, hopefully, because they find it in some level fun. And when it is oppressive the way that consistently losing baseball is, that has to make it a significantly worse experience, both for you playing it, for the fans watching it. It all seeps together. Winning is great. I support winning.
The Royals have done so much damage to this season's record that I no longer have to root for them to lose to be in the bottom 3 of the lottery to get the highest odds because they're the second worst record right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are 8 games behind the Nationals for the 3rd worst record and 9 games behind the Rockies for the 4th worst record. They would have to pass both of them to not have the highest odds to win the lottery, meaning you can pretty much root for them to win the rest of the way and not worry about them missing out on the highest odds for the lottery next year, which is a great spot to be in. It's like, you know what?
You can let it go.
There's your real searching for something positive, right? There's your real grasping is that they've done so much losing right now that you no longer have to root for them to lose to be in the top 3 picks of the lottery that get the same percentage of winning the lottery. They can go out and win, and you know that the Nationals, as bad as they are, and the Rockies, as bad as they are, couldn't possibly lose enough games, and the Royals possibly play well enough to surpass both of those teams to not be in the bottom 3. So now it can just be fun. House money. Just watch the game, root for him to win, and enjoy some wins and see what happens along the way. Watching Daniel Lynch go out there and pitch like that yet again in back-to-back starts, 3 out of 4 starts are quality starts. And I know people may or may not care about quality starts because 6 innings and 3 earned runs is a 4.5 ERA. And it ain't great. But a 4.5 ERA right now for teams that are actually on the roster that are starting would be leading this team in ERA. The only 2 players that would have a higher ERA, or a lower ERA, I should say, of guys who have been starters is Chris Bubich and Brad Keller. They're both on the IL. Brad Keller is surprising. It's a 4.4 ERA. But he only has 1 quality start. So riddle me that. Because, 5 innings does not a quality start make. But Daniel Lynch, 3 out of the last 4 times, he's gone out at the mound. He's given his team a chance to win. And they've won the last couple. And the loss out of those quality starts, he had the 1 blow-up inning where he gave up 5 runs to the Reds. And he's given up 5 home runs on the season. 3 of them came in 1 inning to the Reds. And 2 of those 3, and all 5, or 3 of the 5 runs that were scored in that inning were with 2 outs. But you got to get 3 outs. So that was a rough one where he got touched up. And he hasn't been touched up like that in the other 35 and a third innings that he has thrown this year. That is a real, true bright spot of what Daniel Lynch is doing. And the command for Daniel Lynch, even in a loss yesterday, was really good. Change-ups were to the arm side. So away from right-handers, down and in to lefties. Sliders were down and into righties. Low and away to lefties. Fastballs were high, top of the zone. He wasn't leaving him over the strike zone in the middle. And his plot graph, or whatever you want to call it, of the strike zone, there's a decent amount of white space right in the middle of the zone, which is great. And no wonder he was keeping guys off balance, maybe not striking them out, but guys weren't hitting a ton of balls really hard, hitting them at guys, some good defensive plays behind them, or just simply playing representative defense behind them. That's been the last couple of games for Daniel Lynch. It was sort of dismissed when he played the Tigers because the Tigers are aggressive. He didn't get a lot of strikeouts, but the Tigers aren't that good. Rays are aggressive, didn't get a lot of strikeouts, but you also held them to 1 run when you were out there in the 6 innings. That's a little different than the Tigers when the Rays are aggressive in hitting and you're not striking them out and you're keeping them off balance and not getting solid contact.
It continues to feel sustainable for Daniel Lynch.
Yes.
Which is really encouraging.
Yes, and he's out there having fun. When the ball bounced off his leg and it went over to first base and he sort of grabbed it and was falling and flipped it to Prado and had an awkward slide, on his chest and then sort of rolled over and then started laughing like he's having fun. Didn't look like he was embarrassed. It was just like, hey, that happens in a game, and he goes out there and then gets out of the inning.
And that doesn't happen when you're losing in an oppressive manner and you have no control over your stuff and you're uncomfortable to be out there. Like we might be doing body language and these little slivers of maybe these nuggets of gold in the abyss we're wading through. We're doing it for a reason because I think there's something to it, and it has been kind of an abyss of a season.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. There are a couple of players that I do want to talk about with the Royals that are sort of a fascinating case study the rest of the way. And if one means there could be a domino next month at the end of July with the trade deadline, Jim Bowden at The Athletic, he wrote, I think Thursday or Friday, his top 100 players that are, trade candidates at the trade deadline. There are a number of Royals that show up on that list, as you would expect. But a couple Royals that are not going to be expected to be traded at the trade deadline, but one may be leading into the other. I'll explain what that is. We'll get into some Chiefs conversation as well. Patrick Mahomes is competitive even when it comes to random fun golf later on this week. We'll hear from that. Zach Greinke is in a spot where I don't remember Zach Greinke ever being in, maybe at the beginning of his career when he was sort of lost and trying to figure out what to do. We'll get into that. Some other college stuff as well, and then College World Series tonight. Paul Skeens, the expected first or second pick in the draft. What does LSU do with him tonight when over the last week and a couple days, he's thrown 250 pitches? So do they throw him tonight when they already pitched him in this series as a starter? Is he Madison Bumgarner? Guy might be the number one pick in the draft and get $8 million. We'll see. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810. The text line. College World Series coming up tonight, 6 o'clock on ESPN. And also on ESPN Kansas City, 6 o'clock, game number 3. Text says maybe Matt Quatrero wasn't happy with winning half the series against the Rays. Or is he saying that is that saying that he's not happy because he wanted to win the whole series and only won half, or he's not happy because they took 2 of 4 from the Rays and it hurt the Rays while they're trying to get
this theory he's a sleeper agent. Interesting.
Text says, can they hand out Lyle rally towels at the next home start?
They should.
Text says 41-43 to close out the season. Not a 100-loss team. There you go.
Holy cow. I mean, so I know we've played that game a few times of, what would they have to be or whatever, but 41-43 to get you 99 losses is steep, but they're almost pacing for that in their last 5.
That's 6. How about that? Right? Yeah, absolutely. Last 9, they're 4-5. 4-4 in their last 8. That's
right,
500.
There you go. That'll get you there.
Not
4
last
out of
8.
5 won't.
Not
that best.
Going into yesterday's game, they were 4-4 in their last 8. That gets you 500. I'm telling you. I did quick math.
3-3 in their last 6.
There
we go. Okay, we've got it.
How about that? We figured it out. They're 1-1 in their last 2.
No 100-loss season. Just losing nice 99. That'll probably get you there.
Tex says, great weekend for the boys in blue, but let's not get too excited. It's still the Royals.
I don't mean that. I'm not yelling at the texter by any means. What you're saying is fair. I just sort of thought that everything we've said has parenthetically included they're still the Royals at the end.
Royals.
Like, we're just looking for
We're still the Royals.
Jason and I aren't wired the way to be, like, just incredibly grouchy for 20 hours a week and just no baseball.
Tell that to my wife. I'll be here all week.
You got to enjoy Daniel Lynch starts, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Tex says, in the words of Mick Schaefer, baseball happens.
Wow. Or baseball happens to you.
He said that last year on the show, and I can't remember what we were talking about. And he goes, I have an explanation. I'm like, what? He goes, sometimes just baseball happens. Like, you know what, Mick? That's one of the most illuminating things you've ever said in your life.
Some real Yogi Berra stuff.
That's right. Just baseball happens. Tex says, well, Jason, with what you just said about Royals winning 33 games in a row, they still wouldn't be 500. You made me sad in a funny way. Now Josh is my favorite zone host.
Yes! Victory! That's funny because you made me sad in a funny way is like what I sort of anticipate most people listening to the show for.
Yes. 913-912-4810 is the text line. You know what? I was about to say, should we talk about something that's a little sad?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to.
Oh, all right. No sad thing.
Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. But not right now, because there's a couple things I want to talk about. Real quick on Daniel Lynch. Quality starts, whether you like him or not. He's had 6 starts this year. 3 of them have been quality starts. The other Royals starters who are actually starters, I'm not talking about Carlos Hernandez or Jose Cuas or anything like that. Those aren't starts. You're not going to be you can't get a quality start when you're an opener. So I'm eliminating any bullpen guy that has started a game. So just players that are your prototypical starters. That's Lyles and Greinke and Singer and Keller and Bubic and Daniel Lynch. Those 5 guys, not counting Daniel Lynch. So that's Lyles, Greinke, Singer, Keller, Bubic. They have 59 starts this year. And out of those 59 starts, they have 8 quality starts, meaning they win at least 6 innings and gave up 3 or fewer runs. 8 quality starts out of 59. Daniel Lynch has 3 of 6 so far.
That is so much. I was ready for that to be a low number. That's much lower than I thought it was going to be.
They have 59 starts, and they've tallied 8. Lynch has 3 of 4. Part of it is going 6 innings because Royals pitchers and today's pitchers just don't do that. You know what? And right now you would be crawling through the desert looking for the quality start version of water when Royals starters are out there, and Daniel Lynch is doing that. So that's something to.
That is a shockingly low number.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. It's a positive, obviously, for Daniel Lynch. It's a negative and depressing for the rest of the group. But like Chris Bubich had 1 of 3. He only had 3 starts. One of those 8 is by Chris Bubich. Zach Greinke and Jordan Lyles are 3 quality starts and 32 starts. They're 3 of 32. That's a little depressing, but
Marcus Stroman has 14
really in his career
in 2023.
Oh, well, good for him.
That's also nuts.
Yeah, that's a.
Is he good? Seems like he's pretty good.
He
He's
is.
only 9-5. He can't be that good.
Exactly. I mean, is he going to be a 20-game winner? How good of a pitcher can you be if you're not a 20-game winner?
5 losses is a lot of losses.
Tex says, the whole time you're going on and on and on, I'm feeling like Randy Quaid in Major League. They'll blow it in the playoffs. They will. They will. They're bleepy again. They're Shaney again. They are Shaney again.
Sorry, how many? The Royals have 8 quality starts as a team. Is that the number?
Outside of Daniel Lynch.
Oh, including not including Daniel Lynch.
Yeah, Daniel Lynch is 3 of 6. The other 5 are 8 of 59.
Okay.
So they have 11 total. 3 of the 11 happen to be Daniel Lynch.
Well, let's give him 11, and they would still, the Royals would be
11 of 65
would be 9th in baseball, as
with 11.
Against individual pitchers.
The Royals' entire starting staff,
yes,
would have the 9th most quality starts.
They would technically be tied for 6th because there are 6 pitchers that have 11 or more.
What is it? The 8. If you take away Daniel Lynch, what's 8?
8 will take you all the way down to being tied for 25th.
So the Royals,
with a lot of others,
starters outside of Daniel Lynch, would be 25th in baseball out of individual players for quality starts.
In like a 14-way tie.
Because
7 to get you tied for 39th.
Good to know. Good to know. Daniel Lynch has 3. We'll see what he has in a few more starts. Couple of positives, though. Michael Garcia has been fun to watch this year. And at third base, I saw the stat that they put out there yesterday. 9 defensive run saves at third base is best in Major League Baseball.
Wow.
He's played really well over at third. And I haven't looked at him and been like, oh, there's an error. Oh, he butchered that one. And again, I like being wrong about certain things. As I said at the beginning of the year, the best third baseman on the Royals is Bobby Witt. Put him at third base. Or heck, I mean, there's conversation about put him in center field. He's not going to be a shortstop. So, yes, let's see what he has. But ultimately, with the idea in mind that we're going to see that he's not a shortstop this year, and he's going to be starting at third base next year, opening day. And that hasn't been the case because Michael Garcia has been awesome at third base. He's the best third baseman on the Royals because of not only the way that he plays, but he hits more than Nicky Lopez. So if you're like, well, Nicky Lopez is a great defensive player. Okay, awesome. You know, there's probably an amazing glove down at Double-A that can play awesome third base and hit .095. You know, but that doesn't make you the best third baseman on the team because you got to do both. There's a great quarterback out there who's really good at handing off. He's amazing. He can hand off with both hands. Footwork in the after taking the snap and getting the ball to the running backs is amazing.
Great fundamentals.
Not as great throwing the ball though.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, that's fine. Screen passes, awesome at those. So Garcia's been really good in that respect. And in June, he's batting .299 and getting on base at .350. I mean, that dog will hunt. Mm-hmm. So I've been pleasantly surprised from what the Royals have in Michael Garcia. Wasn't necessarily viewed as a can't-miss prospect. Wasn't a guy down in Latin America that they gave a boatload of money to. You know, they didn't give really much of anything to Garcia. And that's what's sort of interesting about the couple of guys that I find to be, you know, some positives from this weekend are guys that they didn't give really anything of substance and money in Latin America. Garcia, the way that he's played at third, and Freddie Fermin. You know, we talked a little bit about Freddie Fermin earlier when it was like, you know, he's coming on strong, and look what he did last year, the second half of AAA, and then what he did in the Dominican League, then what he did in spring training, then what he was doing in AAA this year, and then, hey, look what he's doing at the big league level. And it was like, okay, do the Royals have something in Freddie Fermin? That was in the first week he was up when he had hit a couple of home runs. And it's like, okay, that was obviously early, but it was wondering if you can go back in time and look at what he did at the second half of last year to now. It's like this guy's OPSing at almost 1,000. Right? It's pretty damn good for Fermin at different levels. AA, AAA, Dominican Summer League, spring training, and a little bit of big league ball. Freddie Fermin has started 19 games this year. So what I did to try to figure out if you could really project, this is what the Royals front office has to do. This is where the guys that make the money and make the decisions have to analyze these same things and say, honestly, look in the mirror, be honest with yourself, separate emotions. What do you have in this player? So we talked about what he did second half last year and all of that stuff. Fermin has started 19 games this year. Salvi since 2013, taking away 2019 because he missed the whole year, he has averaged 134 games. Now I took the 37 games in 2020 out of 60 and put that to what it would be over 162, which is roughly 100 games. So he has averaged 134 games started, has Salvi, over the course since 2013. So if I take Freddie Fermin's 19 games, again, this is a lot of projection. There's a lot of projecting what, this guy could be. 19 is a small sample size.
Oh, thank you so much.
I figured you looked a little partial. You need to wet your whistle a little bit. So what Fermin would do in 134 games, again, it's what the Royals front office needs to be examining of what they have in this 27, 28-year-old player right now. So on the season, he's OPSing at 822. That obviously is easy to then say, what would he do over 134? Well, he would essentially do this. Now, it's tough to say because if you played 134, you might wear down in August and September. So that is more difficult to be able to say, well, he'd be an 822 OPS guy because he did it in 19 games where he's had a number of days off in between and he's fresh, all of that stuff. Acknowledged, okay, stipulated, agreed. Over 134, what he's done so far, over 134 would give him 28 home runs, 92 RBIs if he played 134. All the players last year that had at least 350 plate appearances, all the catchers, just catchers, because this is what we're looking at, all right? He's not a third baseman or first baseman. You're looking at value from the catching position. 350 plate appearances, there were 24 catchers last year. OPS for Freddie Fermin at 822 would be the second best out of all 24, only behind William Contreras. Batting average would be 6th. On-base percentage would be 8th. Slugging percentage would be 2nd. Home runs would be 1st. RBIs would be 1st. So what the Royals have to examine is, do you have somebody that you could have as your catcher the next 3 or 4 years while other guys, whether it's Carter Jensen or anybody else down in the minors or somebody else you draft, that could develop into the next catcher, where the Pirates have 2 in Henry Davis and Indy Rodriguez that's still down in AAA. Henry Davis was the number 1 pick in the draft a couple of years ago, and Indy Rodriguez has been a guy that was a part of I can't remember who they traded, but he was one of the bigger prospects they got back in one of their bigger trades. So they've got 2 guys that are there, although both of those guys are really athletic, so they can move them around. Like Henry Davis is playing right field and some catcher. Indy Rodriguez can play second base and some catcher. They can move them around, right? So they've got a couple of guys. So can Fermin be a guy for 3 or 4 years that can get you through to the next level if you were to decide you were overwhelmed in July by an offer from either the Rays or the Marlins that say, we need Salvi? And here's the package we're going to send you. I dare you to say no. And if it's Tampa or Miami, I wonder how difficult it would be for Salvi to veto that trade with the 10-5, the no-trade clause, when he would be heading to a place where he lives in the offseason in South Florida. I'm not advocating for Salvi to be traded. I've talked about that. I'd be perfectly fine if they traded him, depending on what they get back. I'm not advocating that you've got to trade Salvi. But if you're really looking at how do you expedite the process of the rebuild, When this team starts winning, is Salvi going to be this particular player or have this particular value? That's there. And if somebody were to come and say, Salvi's the missing piece for our team, we have a hole at catcher, and this guy, what he's going to do, like Salvi in Miami, would be amazing from a fan perspective. Like, part of the reason the Angels signed Albert Pujols was because, they wanted him to play, obviously, at a high level, but they wanted to tap in to the Latin American market from the Dodgers. So you go get Pujols, and now you get the Latin American market that has been Dodgers fans forever. The Angels can't get the Latin American market, so they go and overpay for Pujols because of what it can do from a fan base standpoint as well. Does Salvi do that for the Marlins or even the Rays or something like that? And would they overpay for it? And if they did, if you said, yeah, but all you have is Cam a year ago, I can't even remember the backup catcher's name.
Gallagher, baby.
If all you have is Cam Gallagher, you're like, really?
All you need is Cam Gallagher.
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to be trading Salvi. But if you look in the mirror, if you're the Royals and you say, what we have right now, even if he's not first in home runs, first in RBIs, second in slugging percentage, second in OPS, even if he slides back to 10th, 11th, 12th, does that get you through the next 3 or 4 years to find the guy that can ultimately take that spot if you're blown away? Yeah, it does. Unless the Royals look in the mirror and say, there's a reason he's playing sparingly, and when he's out there, pretty good, but his body's not going to hold up over the course of the season. And if he was an everyday catcher, plus we don't have somebody else to bring up and be the backup catcher. Then do we move MJ Melendez there to be the backup catcher, now the right field catcher, and he's still learning right field and all that stuff, whatever. But you're not winning this year. You're not going to finish less than 100 losses. Okay, this is a 100-loss team. So how do you get to where the Diamondbacks, the Orioles, the Pirates, the Reds, how do you get closer to that quicker? And when you're doing that, is Salvi your catcher? It's tough to say 2 years from now if that's still going to be the case. And is he playing at a high enough level to where it's worth it that he's not your 7th or 8th batter in the lineup? We'll see. But Jim Bowden at The Athletic talked about Salvi being the biggest name of catchers that could be moved. Not that the Royals are shopping him, but could be moved. And what did he write?
And not that they are desperately trying to offload this money. That to me ends up being the very big difference, where he writes, Perez, who's signed through 2025 with a team option in 2026, would be worth overpaying for and could be the final piece the Rays need to win a world championship this year. He writes after mentioning the Rays and Marlins would, quote, love to acquire him, but as of right now, he's not on the trade market. That is very, 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 very different than the conversation we were having a week or two ago about saying, oh, well, do the Royals need to send a prospect with Salvi to some team who will take his salary? That feels like a huge letdown for a huge number of reasons. Sending him to Florida to where he could actually help win another title for a team that would be willing to perhaps pay his real worth, if not overpay, that would be a lot easier to swallow for me.
Text says, this texter does not like John Sherman, has not liked John Sherman since the day that John Sherman bought the team, which is fine. Loves Dayton Moore. I think it might actually be Dayton Moore's son. I'm not sure. Says, team records this year, Dayton Moore 47-30, John Sherman 22-56. Now, who were you saying was the problem? Dayton Moore.
I mean, I don't think John Sherman was the problem 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
My memory's not great, but how long ago was that?
I'm also pretty sure Dayton Moore is an advisor to the Rangers.
I think he owns them.
Chris Young is the GM. And Dayton Moore wasn't the guy that went out and bought Simeon and Corey Seager and the players that are coming up through the minors and developed and drafted and things like that, and other pitchers they went out and paid for. Dayton wasn't doing that. Dayton was the guy in charge of all of these prospects that have come up. These guys, these pitchers. He was the guy in charge of that. He was the guy in charge of 100-loss seasons. So who's the problem with this team? The answer is Dayton Moore.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
ESPN, 6 o'clock on ESPN Kansas City on the radio. College World Series Game 3. Josh Eilert hired at West Virginia. One of the West Virginia projected starters that had put their name in the transfer portal, already taken his name out of the transfer portal, announcing that he's going to return to West Virginia based on the fact that Eilert was hired. What does that do for the other players that are thinking about transferring their transfer class? Does he have a chance to stay the head coach? West Virginia, how good of a program that is moving forward. And some other things we'll get into with us in college sports. Ari Timken, Sirius XM College Sports. We'll talk with him at noon. And Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock. More Zone next.
Hey, Jayhawks fans, come out this summer to cheer on Mass Street, your Kansas basketball alumni team, as they compete in the basketball tournament for a $1 million prize. Cheer on Keith Langford, Thomas Robinson, Marcus Garrett, and more former...
Not a game. We talking about practice.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We're talking about practice, man.
Money in the NBA is just crazy. I know we'll talk with Josh Kaiser here, but money in the NBA is just crazy. Here's how crazy it is.
How crazy is it?
Kyle Kuzma turned down his option of $15 million for 1 year. And he plays where?
He's been a Washington Wizard.
Sure. I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah, not a lot of people have seen evidence of that, but I believe it to be true.
I know he was a Ute. 2 Utes. Sorry, youths. He was a Utah Ute at one point.
Recent reports indicate that he could potentially be a Washington Wizard most recently.
Fred VanVleet has turned down an option for $23 million this year. Woo! Fred VanVleet said, nope, $23 million isn't enough.
He's still the Raptor?
For Fred VanVleet. Yeah. Man. I picked the wrong. I should have been in the NBA. Why didn't I choose NBA? Why did I choose sports talk?
Should have at least tried.
So stupid.
Man, we just
of course, being
barely,
a 43-year-old, I would definitely still be out there playing.
Just barely missed, I guess, technically, depending on when VanVleet. When did he opt out officially? We
Like
just barely.
today?
Did he really? So then we may have, for a moment, had a Jayhawk Wildcat and Shocker all on the Toronto Raptors.
Wow, how about that?
How about that?
Have a Missouri Tiger if there was actually Missouri Tigers in the NBA.
There are a couple.
Yeah, no, that's good.
There's at least 2 for sure I can think of.
There's at least a couple somewhere. Yeah, there's a guy that won a championship and somebody that's now in the NBA in LA. Josh Kaiser, not an NBA player, but co-host of One Royal Way podcast, which roughly the same salary. Also KC Sports Network, KCSN. Josh, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Yeah, roughly the same salary is probably correct. It's a real lavish lifestyle. We Bush League amateur podcasters live, but hey, it's the dream. It is truly the dream.
Well, you're a podcaster and a blogger, so you're in mom's basement, I bet.
True. Yeah, literally in the basement right now. I am staring at her great bar that I get to partake of. I'm of age, so it's been a great life so far.
Josh Kaiser is our guest. It's a team that's 22-56, so it hasn't been a great season, certainly, to say the least. They are 4-5 over the last 9 games. They did have a stretch of 4-4 in there before yesterday's loss. Is there something to take away for you from this? Is there a meaning to these 9 games from your perspective in watching what the Royals have done?
What do you mean? It doesn't sound like you want to hang the banner, which is what we need to be doing.
No.
This banner needs to be created and hung immediately. If it's out there behind the big scoreboard out at Kauffman, beat the Rays or split a series against the best team in baseball 2023.
That's exactly right.
We did it.
It's like the 3-1 banner that's going to be raised with Cincinnati Bengals fans. So they got that going
100%.
for them. Yes.
Yeah, good for them.
Yes.
We're all here for moral victories.
Right. But these 9 games, is there something more, like we've been trying to find silver linings, obviously, throughout the season, and it's hard to do. But when we put it into perspective of what the Diamondbacks and the Pirates and the Reds and the Orioles and different teams like that, of what they were able to accomplish mid-season and start turning things around, I'm not saying 9 games makes a season, but is there something to build upon with this Royals very short, Josh, sample size? Small sample size for this Royals team. But
Right. I think the biggest one you kind of been talking about is Daniel Lynch. Whatever kind of stock you put in the Daniel Lynch quality start stat, it is what it is. I mean, and the idea of a quality start is, can they keep their team in a game? And Daniel Lynch has been able to do that, where there's been plenty of questions about him potentially being a major league player over the last few seasons, and now I think it's kind of coming together. I think he's got the most, promise. He always did, but it was kind of starting to see it shown at the major league level. Even if he's not getting strikeouts, he's still able to command 4 or 5 pitches every now and then that are major league ready and able to get guys out efficiently some days. Sometimes it comes with whiffs, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on the opponent. So he's able to string together some quality starts, and that is not nothing. It is a definitive average bar to have to crop to get over But that's kind of where we are here. This is what we need to see. And if you have one guy out of 5 guys in a rotation, well, really like 4 and a quarter here with the 2023 Royals starting rotation, if one guy can do that, I think that's a little bit of a silver lining. It just happens to be one of the guys you needed to start clicking at some point this season. So that's kind of like the big takeaway. I mean, still having like Scott Barlow, Aroldis Chapman still producing, still getting guys out at the back of that bullpen, doing what they need to there. Bobby Witt Jr. is starting to absolutely, start his ascension. Hopefully to superstardom. Let's start holding our breaths for that again, guys.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. I'm not going to hold my breath to that, but that would be great if
sure.
if that was the case. Yeah, his swing decisions are better, so that's good.
Yep. He's walking, taking walks. He's, still striking out a little bit, but not nearly as much. He's still doing everything else pretty well. So I think seeing his ascension was huge. You guys have touched on Michael Garcia and Freddie Fermin. Those are both very fun stories as well. So there's obviously some positives here. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We're halfway through this season of assessment and trying to see what sticks against the window. I keep coming back to that mental image of Billy Madison, Adam Sandler, Norm Macdonald, and they're throwing pickles at the window, and you get to celebrate 1 out of 3 every now and then, and you kind of just turn around and go back to your life. That seems to be the mental image I have of this 2023 season. So that's where we are at this point, halfway through it, and we'll see how the second half kind of goes.
Is there a Nudie Magazine Day coming up anytime soon with this? I mean, is there some sort of
as long as Frank's still lending out his T-shirts, I'm still in. Yep.
Visiting with Josh Kaiser, KC Sports Network, One Royal Way podcast co-host there. The Daniel Lynch quality starts are interesting. In the 3 quality starts, the Royals have lost 3-2, lost 3-1, and then they won 1-0. If they could just it's the Greinke run support that's going to Daniel Lynch. But you're right, it's giving them a chance to win. Like, they have been there, opportunities, held the Orioles to 3 runs, held the Tigers to 0 runs, and held the Rays to 1 run that he gave up in that particular game. So those are pretty good lineups. They're aggressive lineups, certainly, definitely the Rays. So it's not just the quality starts too. It's how it's getting done. And I know that the strikeouts, and this is one of the things I was going to ask you, the last 2 outings, he's got 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. It's really the 4 strikeouts in the 13 innings. Is that concerning to you, and that this is not sustainable for somebody that is, quote, unquote, pitching to contact, even if that's what he's trying to do, or the context with the Tigers and Rays that are more aggressive and are going to put the ball in play and things like that? How do you look at and assess the 13 innings that have been only 1 earned run he's given up, but only 4 strikeouts in that time?
Yeah. I mean, it's just not dominant, which I think we had kind of adjusted our expectations of Daniel Lynch to not be as dominant as we wanted him to be. I think people were calling him potentially like a frontline starter over the last few years, and I think we've kind of come down to realistic expectations of him be like maybe mid-rotation at this point. And at that point, you don't really expect him to be dominant. He's getting plenty of whiffs for a 2 or a 3 or 4 starter, which is fine. I'm fine with that. He's limiting damage, which I think is the biggest part, not walking guys, and that's fine too. So if he's doing it efficiently, getting innings and keeping the Royals in the games, I mean, that's about as good as you can ask for anybody at this point. So it's not what you wanted. You wanted that front of the rotation starter out of him. But at this point, I'm taking whatever I can get, especially from that 2018 draft class.
Visiting with Josh Kaiser, let's talk about the offense and a couple of players that we had mentioned in the first hour. Let's talk about Michael Garcia, who has been really good over at third. And in June, he's OPSing at 770, but batting average 300 and on base percentage 353. So the slugging isn't necessarily there for a third baseman, but Nicky Lopez is also playing third base, so you take what you get. What are you seeing with Michael Garcia? Is he a guy that, ultimately grades out as maybe a utility guy that can play a number of different positions, or does he have staying power of finding a position on this team and playing it at a decent level? Because I am perfectly fine watching Michael Garcia at bats. I'm perfectly fine with Michael Garcia being in the lineup. There's no Hunter Dozier or anything like that to where, oh God, he's in the lineup because they don't have anybody else. So what do you make of what we've seen from Garcia this year, and especially in this month?
I've been pumped to see it. Coming into the season, I kind of had my doubts about how much of a major leaguer he was. The small sample size we saw from him last year, and even in the sample size we saw on in AAA last year, kind of screamed like slap hitter, and it was all, I don't know, questionable at best. I think at that point I had a lot of doubts, and I didn't want to get my hopes up, but there was still very much the potential there. The fact that they can shift him over to third, despite him not really having played it at all through the minor leagues, through baseball in general, and then to him to pick it up at third base and be successful at third base this year was huge. I mean, it's just to be able to show that you can learn that corner. Bobby Witt Jr. struggled with last year, and he is supposed to be a really, really good shortstop and fielder and defensive guy. So to see Michael Garcia actually produce quality defense at third base while also being pretty productive in the lineup, that's great to see. We always kind of thought him being like a pretty good leadoff hitter with his approach is there. He's got speed, so he's a threat on the base paths, and he's shown that as well. He got a 353 OBP on this month of June, and that's exactly what you need. He's stealing plenty of bases. He's not getting caught. He's being smart. He's forcing pitchers to, keep an eye on him over there when he is on base. So that is something that the Royals have not had in the leadoff spot. I couldn't even tell you that. I mean, Esty wasn't that. He was an OBP guy, but he had plenty of speed on the base paths. But that's what I mean. Like, it's a leadoff guy that we haven't seen. It's just weird and untraditional that he happens to play third base, but he's doing really well, and I'm on board. I mean, I've talked about you mentioned it as well, that he's not necessarily an international bonus baby. So maybe you can throw him a team-friendly extension, just kind of get him paid, get him locked in on this lineup, and see where it goes from here. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. Let's see what we can do as far as like an extension, get some value on that front, and go from there. But at this point, I can't complain one bit about what Michael Garcia is bringing to this team.
Yeah, I do wonder, too. I mean, Nick Prado's been fine as a leadoff hitter, and they're searching for a leadoff hitter. I'm glad Bobby Witt is not that guy. Also, by the way, he just took strike 3 again, Nick Prado did, in case you're wondering.
Sure.
Oddly enough, on a day off at 11:14 a.m., but he still did that. He still manages to do that.
Yep.
So it's something that we can talk about as well. But leading off an inning. So, leadoff man is a game. You're going to do that once. But leading off an inning, Michael Garcia, I'm assuming you probably have because you study it and watch it specifically a lot more than maybe me. But have you seen the numbers with Garcia when he leads off an inning?
No, I heard it the other day, and I remember like raising my eyebrows thinking, like, that can't be right, right?
43 plate appearances when he's led off an inning. He's got an on-base percentage of .465. He's batting .400, and he's OPSing over 1,000 in 43 plate appearances. Against the Rays, he had 3 innings in which he led off. He went 1 for 2 with a walk in there as well. So he got, I think it was 3. It might have been 4, actually. 4 times he led off an inning against the Rays. 1 for 2 with 2 walks. So he reached base 3 out of 4 times in the 4 plate appearances he had, leading off an inning, not just leading off a game. And I wonder if we're seeing those numbers. I mean, does it make sense for maybe Quatrero to say, let's see him in an extended period of time, a longer, run at just lead off in the game? Or is Quatrero like, he can have him lead off a game, but the spot that he's in, he's leading off an inning a pretty decent amount, which probably says that maybe he's a little too low in the lineup and somebody in front of him isn't all that great because, they keep making the third out before he gets up.
Sure, and I do wonder if, we were talking about it, I was talking to my brother about it last week, that Michael Garcia, it's time for him to start leading off baseball games because it's almost the perfect situation that Michael Garcia can get on base, and then you put Prado behind him, who generally sees like 4 to 6 pitches every plate appearances, giving Garcia plenty of opportunities to steal second and potentially third with what he has been doing. So if you can get Nick Prado or then Bobby Witt behind him or then Salvi behind him, a guy on third base to hit him in and get that ball rolling, maybe the momentum starts to swing a little bit more early in the games, and we don't necessarily see the 8-1 by the third inning scores where we just, all right, let's go about our business, and this game is over already. So I was calling for it starting last week. And like I said, I'm kind of one of the guys that was kind of pumping the brakes on Michael Garcia's ability at the beginning, and he's just blowing me right out of the water. So I'm happy to eat crow on that front, but I think it is, something to think about to start keeping Michael Garcia in that leadoff spot at this point.
Also, Nick Prado just took strike 3 again. It's weird.
And again, wow, they
11.
made it through the lineup really fast. So I'm guessing this is the Angels 24 run game.
First pitch swinging. Just getting up there, ready to hit.
Okay.
Be a hitter. Come on, man. You're not walking off the island. Let's go. Be a hitter.
100%.
I've never seen anything like it with Nick Prado, and I appreciate the being patient, and I appreciate the work in the count and doing some of those things, but I've never seen somebody take pitches that seem to be right down the plate in fastballs with a 2-strike count. I mean, there's got to be a happy medium somewhere, right? To him being patient, wanting to get a pitch he feels like he can drive, which oddly enough, fastballs down the middle feel like it's a pitch he can drive. But there's got to be a happy medium to say, you know what, he's working the count to then with 2 strikes. I'd go ahead and start swinging a little bit more with 2 strikes there, Nick.
Yeah, and I was also talking about this last week. Is I was just kind of thinking out loud this half-baked take. So get ready for the half-baked take show. But it was like the same. The general theme of the Alex Zumwalt and Co. batting theme seems to be hunt your pitch, find the pitch that you can do damage on, and then do damage on it. Nick Prado seems to really, really enjoy the hunt, and when he is able to make contact with it, it is generally a pretty good outcome. But he is the exact opposite in the Zumwalt and Co. theme in that he also likes to watch pitches that seem to be very hittable. So part of me wonders if he just needs to expand the amount of pitches that he can do damage on. And at that point, we start seeing things start to like generate a little bit more what you want to see as far as like OPS starts skyrocketing at that point. K percent starts plummeting. Walk percentage starts going up. So I think that is something that he has really been trying to work on, especially the last 2 seasons. That is something I'm going to keep looking for in the second half of the season. If he's starting to swing a little bit more, starting to be a little less patient, and then thusly see how the numbers start to look. But it is, especially on this Royals roster, it seems very different from what we've seen for the past 20 years.
And it's also interesting, like because they would not let that pitch go by. They'd swing at that pitch regardless. And the thing is though, when he gets up there first pitch, if that was the first pitch to him, he probably swings at it. That's what's weird is like he's first pitch swinging a lot, and then 1-2 count or 2-2 count, 3-2 count, he's watching the thing go right down the middle and walking back to the dugout. But like his strikeout percentage is lower than a year ago when he was up at the big league club. Yet his batting average to balls in play is 415, and last year was 250. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like you're talking about, I mean his line drive percentage is double what it was a year ago. The hard hit percentage is up almost 10% from a year ago. So he is definitely hunting his pitches, and when he sees something he wants to hit and puts it in play, he's been pretty darn good at hitting line drives and squaring the baseball up, and exit velocity's been not great, but, consistent enough, I guess, if you want to call it that. But really, that's the line drive percentage. You don't have to have 100 miles an hour if you're hitting a line drive, more than anything. But that's just so interesting, and I wonder, part of it is like, okay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or is there an element of like Bobby Witt, who gets up there and says, no matter what the pitch is, I can hit it. I've done this my whole life. Outside part of the plate, I'll crush it to right field. Inside part of the plate, I'll hit it 500 feet. This is what I've done. I've been, I'm the natural, right? I've just always been able to hit. That when you get to the big leagues and it's like, okay, that slider low and outside, I'm not going to swing at that. So get to a point to where you're swinging at better pitches, and those swing decisions, pitches you can drive, taking some of the pitches that you can't drive that might be closer, especially early in the count, that he was swinging at and getting himself out. Like that development then from Prado, can you maximize what he's been doing at the decisions he's making and then take a little bit away from the 2-strike approach of I'm just going to still hunt my pitch? Like, is there a way to do that? I don't know. He might just be a guy that it's like the Royals might be going, you know what? He's hitting line drives. He's squaring them up. When he puts the ball in play, it's half the time it's a hit. So if he takes a pitch on strike 3, well, then we're going to have to live with that.
Yep. And I kind of wonder, especially with guys like this that are having success. I kind of look at it like a Jenga tower. Like you want to keep building to make the player as best as they can, the tower as tall as they can, but you also want to keep it stable. So I'm sure that they're taking the same approach. It's like we could ask him to do this and that a little bit differently, but we're not going to argue with anything that he's doing currently right now. Maybe he's striking out a little bit too much. I think it was like close to 40% in the month of June, last I saw. So maybe you can come to him and be like, you're striking out a little bit too much. You're not swinging as much. What's going on? Can we tweak it? Is it something you want to try to tweak? Is it something you want to work through on your own? I think that's just kind of trying to find that happy medium to where the Jenga tower gets as tall as it possibly can, but it's still structurally sound. And God help you if you're one of the crazy daredevils taking out those middle blocks at the bottom of the base that just kind of forces you to send everybody back to the drawing board next year, because those people have a special place in hell. But it's just that's kind of what I envision messing with a hitter or pitcher at that point. Like what's going to make this tower as tall as possible without jeopardizing the structural integrity of it.
Visiting with Josh Kaiser, KC Sports Network, co-host of the One Royal Way podcast, also 2021 Tetris champion in the Midwest. Josh Kaiser is our guest. Last one for you. Jim Bowden at The Athletic wrote about the 100 players that are at least GMs talking about for trade candidates, and Salvi was on there. The typical people were on there with the bullpen guys, but he also talked about Salvi and said that the Rays and Marlins would love to acquire him, but as of now, he's not on the trade market. However, with the Royals rebuilding, with the right prospect package, they probably couldn't say no. Perez, who signed through 2025, team option 2026, would be worth overpaying for and could be the final piece for the Rays, what they need to win a world championship this year. Should the Royals be taking phone calls and maybe even making phone calls for Salvador Perez? And I want to connect it as well to and maybe it won't matter in your mind of trading Salvador Perez if Fermin is any good or not, because, again, this team is 22-56, so does it matter if they have a catcher that can hit 30 home runs? But is there something this early on that they may have in Fermin to be a placeholder for 3 or 4 years if they get a package of prospects that the Marlins or the Rays just say, yeah, we need them and we're willing to overpay because we're in a position to go and win the whole thing? Should the Royals be taking phone calls and even making those phone calls, Josh?
I am in the boat that they need to be taking and making all the phone calls about every player that has ever existed in a Royals uniform. If it's not nailed down in the clubhouse, you absolutely have to be taking phone calls about it. The Royals aren't near contention here. Salvi's got maybe, you would think 2 to 3 years, but Salvi still probably 15 or 16 seasons after this, so who knows? Probably. But they need to be taking phone calls, and I was kind of thinking about this more. I've always been in the camp like there's no way that Salvi is going to bring back enough to justify his non-existence in a Royals uniform, just because that contract is huge. The last couple seasons he's been barely an above-average hitter, but for a catcher, he's still pretty solid bat for a catcher, so maybe you find someone like a Pedro Grifol of the White Sox that wants to go get that leadership capability that he has. They love each other. So it seemed like, there was some smoke there at the preseason. It makes sense a little bit. Now you want to add in the Rays and the Marlins. Makes sense. Southern Florida type of thing. That's where he lives. No income tax, which is always fun. But it still seems like no matter, it's going to have to be the right situation. Salvi's going to have to sign off on it. B, I got to think that the Royals are going to be eating $20 to $30 million of that contract left, which is probably, I think it's just under half of what he's going to be owed in the next 3 years. And then it's got to be some kind of decent prospect haul that is not going to leave the fan base completely disgusted by the fact that he's leaving and the fact that the Royals are paying him to play for another organization. And it's just hard to see all three of those lining up in order for a deal to come true. Now, they should be taking calls to see if they can make that happen. They should be making calls to see if people are open to that. The Rays also need bullpen help.
Yeah.
So to see a deal where Aroldis Chapman and Salvi, same deal to Tampa Bay, and bring back a pretty significant haul, I think that is somewhat realistic. A lot of dominoes and a lot of ducks have to line up in a row in order for that to happen, but that is intriguing. And I'm scared to death to make any trade with the Rays at this point,
Right.
because they always seem to absolutely dominate trades. But neither Aroldis nor Salvi are going to be on the next contending Royals roster, so you got to be thinking about it, trying to get creative about how to construct a package. Once again, Jenga Tower. You're going to have to figure out the right Jenga Tower to bring back as much as you can to help the Royals in the future.
I'd have to go back and look and study the trade deadline deals by the Rays if they, got over on different teams. What I wouldn't do with the Rays is a smaller sort of ancillary trade of like, hey, we want to trade for this minor league player. No, because I want to know what is going on with this guy. Why do you want him? But I'd have to go back and look at like bigger trades, trade deadline. If they're looking at a final piece or whatever, do they just steal and just get over on that particular team? I don't know. I think that's a different boat than off-season trades or some of the smaller trades that have turned out to be pretty good for the Rays. So we'll see what ends up happening.
I think one of the bigger ones
was
relevant with Tyler Glass now. They were talking about over the broadcast. He's absolutely dealing, even though he's dealt with some injuries. That might be the big one with the Chris Archer. They had Austin Meadows and
that's right.
Glass now and another guy in that. So that might be the last major one they made. But it's going to be. It would be interesting to see kind of what they would do. The ancillary guys, if they're interested in somebody, I'm going to go talk to that guy and be like, "We're extending you, and we're going to figure out what the Rays want."
We're going to give you a contract extension right now. I just got DFA'd.
Right now.
I don't care. We're going to bring you back.
Yeah, no, doesn't matter.
Josh Kaiser, KC Sports Network, One Royal Way podcast co-host there. Josh, appreciate the time as always, sir. Enjoy the Royals baseball. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, sounds great, guys. Thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. There's Josh Kaiser. Great stuff from him. And also anytime you get a Tetris comparison, if you can compare that to the Tetris Tower of Nick Pratto and the Tetris Tower of building a trade at the trade deadline for a guy like Salvador Perez, you take it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll talk with Ari Timken coming up at noon, Sirius XM College Sports. There's a number of things going on around the College World Series tonight. Also in West Virginia, Josh Eilert, he was hired as an interim. He's been on the West Virginia staff for some 15 years. It's got a local interest because the three players that were on West Virginia's team a year ago that put their names into the transfer portal, Trey Mitchell and Joe Toussaint. Crace has already made the decision he's going to return to West Virginia. Trey Mitchell is finishing up his visit in Kentucky, and Joe Toussaint showing up to Manhattan today for the next couple of days to see if K-State's going to be a destination for him. So it's interesting that they went with a guy that they want to retain the players, because you've got Jerome Tang, who's been pretty good with the transfers, and you got a guy like Joe Toussaint, who played point guard last year for West Virginia and eligible immediately, that is in Manhattan today over the next couple of days, and then heading to Lubbock to visit Texas Tech. So I don't know. Is this like a free agency thing? Don't let him get out of there without a contract. Don't let him get out of there without committing on the spot. We'll see. Or maybe he ends up returning to West Virginia. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Amini's. It's time for their huge Independence Day sale. They have huge in-stock inventory ready for immediate...
We'll talk with Ari Timken coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock. Jim Bowden from The Athletic has the 100 players that GMs are interested in or texting with different GMs, et cetera, et cetera. A couple of names, a few names on this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Royals show up on this list of the 100 players. Zach Greinke. He writes, I don't know if Greinke wants to finish his career as a Royal or in a pennant race, but if he desires the latter, he can still help a contender in the back of a rotation. He's sitting at 2,940 career strikeouts. 60 Ks for Zach Greinke to get to 3,000. I mean, how many starts does it take for him to get to 60 strikeouts?
I wonder so badly if he cares about that at all. Because I could see it being either thing. I could see him desperately wanting him to get to 3,000. I could see him not caring one bit.
Right. For a 14 Ks in his last 4 starts. I mean, looking at roughly 8 starts.
He's at 94, 29,
He needs
60 right now?
He needs 60.
40.
If he keeps the same pace.
He's at 61 this season, to this point, this year. So he would need.
So he needs pretty much the entire 16 more starts.
He would need 16 more starts that have not necessarily been trending in a great direction at that same pace.
Yeah, and as of late, again, this month he's had 14 in the 4 starts, because before that he had 6, 5, 4, 5. Last 4, it's 3, 4, 4, 3 strikeouts. So it's trending in the wrong direction for Zach Greinke. But interesting, I do wonder, like, he is one of those to where either explanation would not surprise me whatsoever.
Not one bit.
That he cares that he wants the 60 more strikeouts, or it's like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a number, 3,000, but I guess 2,999 and 3,000 is that big of a difference? Yes, it is. Ask anybody that did not get 3,000 hits. If 3,000 hits or 2,999 hits is a big deal.
He also he has 2943 as of now. So
he only needs 57.
57.
Yep, there we go. Count it. He also writes here about Jordan Lyles.
Yeah, he did.
Says Lyles was a 12-game winner for the Orioles last season, tallied a 4.42 ERA in 32 starts. He signed a 2-year deal with Kansas City in the offseason. This year, he's off to a dismal start, 0-11, 6.72 ERA, with one of the worst teams in history. However, he's allowed less than 1 hit per inning pitched, and with so many teams looking for a 5th starter to give them just 5 innings, he might be on the move yet again. How much of the salary would the Royals have to eat if they were to trade Jordan Lyles? Or if they traded him and it was a salary dump, would they get back a fungo bat? Like a bucket of like nice, pristine, new baseballs?
Farm systems are pretty big. You might get a human being who plays baseball professionally.
No, it's a farm system. You would actually just get a bundle of corn.
You might get a tractor.
You're
not going to get a tractor.
might get the latest 1/100th of a harvest from somebody randomly in the city that they trade Jordan Lyles to.
Jordan Lyles is an innings eater. John Sherman's going to have to be a salary eater to trade Jordan Lyles. There it is, full circle.
I don't think you trade Jordan Lyles and say we're going to. Because here's the thing. For instance, Salvador Perez. If they say we're going to eat $20 million of Salvador Perez's contract, not only are you getting the value of trading Salvi in what you should be getting in return, but you're getting a team that's looking at it this year and next year as really cost affordable. That should increase by a decent amount, I would guess, the level of prospect you get in return. Eating the salary might just be what it takes to trade Jordan Lyles.
Right. And if
so then what's the point?
If you're going to pay Jordan Lyles, he might as well go out there for you every 5.
Right.
that might as well be his job instead of doing it for some other team.
Jordan Lyles, while it's the whole DFA and people are frustrated with what Jordan Lyles has done this year, I mean, if you're talking about rebuilding a team and trying to get as many draft picks as possible, and look, the lottery, that sucks. It hurt the Royals this year. They're picking 8th instead of 5th, and they could have gotten one of the top 5 stud players that are in this particular draft this year. But if they finish in the bottom 3, hopefully the lottery is better for them next year. and they get a stud player. And what Jordan Lyles can do for you is for every 5 days go to the mound, and you don't have to then rely upon just random people in the minor leagues to come up and pitch every 5 days. He and Greinke, every 5 days, they're going to the mound while also still losing baseball games. Which, great, because winning and having the 9th or 10th best record in baseball this year does nothing for me. Nothing for me. And also doesn't do anything for attendance. Mm-hmm. If the Royals were 10 games better than what they are right now, if they were 32-46, are people packing the stadium?
It'd just be in a worse spot for the lottery.
Yeah. It's not Cincinnati where Reds fans are selling out the stadium now. The stadium's sold out like 3 games in a row against the Braves. That's not happening if the Royals were 10 games better. No. So having the 8th or 9th worst record in baseball does nothing. Have the worst. Have the 2nd or 3rd. I hate the lottery in baseball. Talked about it when it happened. I think it's dumb. Well, we don't want teams tanking. Well, guess what? Dayton never tanked, and they still sucked. So he was trying not to tank. So you should then hurt them because they're trying not to tank. They just aren't good. They don't have the great salary that some other, or payroll that some other teams do. You know, there are some teams that obviously it looks like they're tanking. The A's. So if you really want to stop tanking, then they shouldn't have the high percentage of chance of the number 1 pick. But that's not happening. Okay.
Oh, I just simmed the lottery on Tankathon. White Sox 1, Cardinals 2. Ugh.
That's terrible.
Royals dropped to 7.
With the second best, with the best odds.
I haven't hit the sim button for a while, but yeah, this is the grossest one so far.
It's dumb. It's dumb. You're not stopping tanking by having the lottery. Oh, and small market teams, revenue sharing teams, or teams that receive revenue sharing, they can only be in the lottery 2 years in a row. So next year, it does not matter how crappy the Royals are. The best they can pick in 2025 is 10th. So if the Royals have the worst record in baseball next year, they will have the 10th pick in the draft. That's really cool for baseball in trying to, we don't want teams to tank. Well, they're not trying to. They just suck.
It's baseball's version of just like dunking on a toddler and yelling, "Get good, scrub!" Well, yeah, but I'm only 6 years old. I'm not very tall. Sorry about it. Grow, I guess, punk.
Backing down my 7-year-old son in the driveway, then dunking, going, "Weight room!
Wait, too small.
To the stamina. I was going to do that.
Too small.
I'm going to do the too small symbol and walk
Dad,
away.
your hand is still above my head. Like, you're not even low enough to the ground.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You're too small here.
You're too small.
Sorry. Too small.
Wish somebody would have said that to me at the Little K, but...
You can't see me, John Cena, punk. So, yeah.
That rule is confusing.
I hate the lottery. But a couple of pitchers there, Zach Greinke and Jordan Lyles. Bullpen guys, expected Barlow, Chapman, Amir Garrett, whenever he's back from the IL. And then he lists Salvador Perez among the catchers. It's the only position player that he has listed with the Royals in all of the few teams that are definitely sellers right now, because you've got 14 teams that are going to be making the postseason and a number of teams that are close and in contention and all of that stuff. So definite sellers. There aren't a lot of teams that are definite sellers. But position players, there's one listed. It's Salvador Perez. And J.J. Piccolo certainly made it sound like they ain't trading Salvi. And if they do, maybe it's in the offseason that they end up trading Salvi. But if it's in the offseason, do you find a team as desperate to say, right now in the position we are in, we know what the standings are. We know what other teams look like. We know what our team looks like, how we're playing right now. Would it be worth it to trade an extra prospect or a higher level of prospect right now to get what could be a final piece? And, oh, he doesn't know the starting staff. Oh, cool. I think he'll be able to figure it out. Has he caught Austin Cox a lot before Cox came up to the big leagues? Turns out Cox has been just fine throwing to Salvador Perez, who I'm pretty sure didn't grow up together as best friends, always playing together with 3 best friends that anybody could have. Like, I doubt that was going on with Salvi and Austin Cox. So I think it'll be fine. I do wonder, like, the level of trade you can get for a Salvi in the offseason as opposed to the trade deadline. Because if you bring Salvi into your team, August 1st, boy, that is a boost of nos to that team. It would feel like, especially in the clubhouse, and with the Latin players in the clubhouse, yeah. You're getting the exact opposite of what happened with the Brewers last year when they traded Josh Hader and they just went in the tank after they traded.
And there might still be like a relatively limited pool here. Just we're talking about the Rays and the Marlins, and so you're not necessarily getting a bidding war. But in that little debate of in season versus off season, when you're trying to make these moves, you also right now could be a team's only good answer to the question they're asking, which is who is our catcher for this World Series run we want to be on?
Yeah.
In the offseason, teams are going to have a million times more options they can be able to fiddle with. Maybe it's a smaller upgrade or a bigger swing, or it's something from your farm system, or it's trying to make another move. And again, I'm going to read this little blurb from the story in The Athletic that we read earlier, because I think it's really important in the difference of our tone a couple weeks ago and today. When Bowden writes, the Rays and Marlins would love to acquire him, but as of right now, he's not on the trade market. However, with the Royals rebuilding for the right prospect package, they probably couldn't say no. Perez, who signed through 2025 with a team option in 2026, would be worth overpaying for and could be the final piece the Rays need to win a world championship this year. That makes it sound like there's hope for what the Royals could get, not the fact that they are, quote, getting money off their books.
Yeah.
Such a different direction, which could tell you who these guys are talking to. Who was it that was it Ken Rosenthal?
Yeah.
Who had the report a couple of weeks ago? And then now here, maybe you're hearing from the Royals side because he's not on the market. They might have to overpay. But I much prefer the tone of that blurb than I do the one of a couple weeks back.
Absolutely. And again, there's too much value in Salvi to view him as, well, this would be a salary dump. And again, there's just no way that would come from the Royals, that they would trade him to save some salary. I don't think you DFA Hunter Dozier. And if you're going to be trading some guys and eating some salary the rest of the way at the trade deadline to then go, well, yeah, but we're going to trade Salvi so we can save some money.
We're going to trade Salvi so we could cut Hunter Dozier.
That's perfect.
All right.
That's a great exchange there for those two. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Wrap up this hour. We'll talk with Ari Timken coming up at noon. More Zone right after this. The Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We've all seen them. As soon as the big storm comes through, the storm-chasing roofers show up. Don't be a victim twice. Call locally owned, veteran-owned JR & Company. No one protects your home and you like JR. JR's there for you. You're always better with a roof from JR. In fact, JR & Company can let you know if you even need to be worried about storm damage. Online, visit jrhailcheck.com. Plug in your address and we'll pull a storm report. If there's nothing on the report, we'll give you hassle-free peace of mind. And if it looks like you got hit, we can come out and do a free inspection and help with any insurance claim. We'll never try to sell you a roof you don't need. But if you do need a new roof, you're always better with a roof.
Sirius XM College Sports coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Learn Funniest Best coming up in the 1 o'clock hour as well. College World Series tonight, LSU and Florida. I think one of the more intriguing storylines tonight is what LSU will do with the number one pitching prospect in all of baseball, in college baseball, or in draft, number one draft prospect, pitching draft prospect coming up in July 9th. Yeah, July 9th when the Major League Baseball draft takes place. So what do they do with Paul Skeens, who is just unbelievable and has the SEC record for strikeouts in a season, broke Ben McDonald's record for Ks in a season. He is an easy 100. The guy's 6'7", and just looks like he is out casually throwing 101, 102, and it is absurd. And he's got the cool mustache, which, by the way, College World Series and college baseball the last few years, it's the long hair and the facial hair. Long hair, facial hair has taken over college baseball. To do the eye black and like a beard and a mustache for my son and let him grow the hair out just so he can feel like he's now a baseball player. Because if you don't have that, what's the point? If you don't have facial hair and long hair, why are you even playing baseball?
Every college baseball player right now looks like they grew up with an entire page of Catfish Hunter cards.
Right.
And I did, and I'm glad that this is how baseball looks now. This is how it was meant to be appreciated from an aesthetic standpoint.
Every college baseball player right now would be talked crap on by the previous generation about these damn hippies.
Yes.
These hippies and these flower power. It's just, what is this country coming to? They don't want to work. They don't want to do anything.
Right.
These hippies and their marijuana cigarettes and their rock and roll music.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at some old Catfish Hunter right now. And so he was playing in those mid-'60s throughout the entirety of the '70s. Time is a flat circle. Matthew
really
McConaughey was right.
It really is. Everything. I'm shocked that when they leave the ballpark, they're not wearing bell bottoms.
Bell bottoms are kind of back. Someone was wearing bell bottoms recently.
Back?
Yeah, someone was wearing bell bottoms at a fashion thing recently. I don't know. Not like back for me and you, back for Travis Kelce wearing the. I think an NBA draft prospect might have gotten bell bottoms.
Is it a fashion thing in like the New York runway because they wear boxes?
No, that's different.
They walk out with like a fish tank on their head. Like that's not fashion. That's just stupidity.
I think you've got like at least 3 good categories for like capital F fashion. You've got like runway fashion where you're wearing like an aquarium. You've got like famous people at a red carpet kind of fashion.
Yeah.
And then you've got walking around fashion. I think bell bottoms are famous person at a red carpet back.
Do you have like 6-year-old fashion that gets like one-on-one interviews with Chiefs players?
Yeah, that's actually my entire new brand that I'm launching.
You know, when like the media that's there every day out there covering the Chiefs has to just do interviews together for like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
but then like a 6-year-old fashion kid is like one-on-one with like the biggest stars of the Chiefs. Is it like that fashion, which is like really taking care of your people around town, or like cool shirts and suits?
My brand is titled Uncredentialed, and it's just really targeted to the biggest and best, or really smallest and best influences in the game.
I get these interviews about fashion, and then I don't talk about fashion whatsoever, but they don't know.
Family Leisure is finally having our summer sale. Lots of cold and rain before has led to great deals now. Come in now for the best deals of the year. Save hundreds, even thousands on Tropic Seas hot tubs, Leisure Select, Hanneman, and Jensen furniture. Locally owned and operated, shop Family Leisure for the best prices, best products, best selection. Family Leisure's summer sale happening now, where family and fun come together at Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome!
We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. Heading up until 2 o'clock, we'll talk with Mick Schaefer in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funny's best from the weekend. Talking a decent amount of Royals, and we got some Chiefs to get into as well. And some other college things to talk about. Joining us now, Ari Timken from Sirius XM College Sports, joining us here in the zone on this Monday. Ari, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Jason. How are you, buddy?
I am doing just fine. I am pumped. I'm ready to go for this Game 3 tonight, the championship series finally being decided, LSU and Florida, and so much intrigue in tonight's game. And really, it's funny. The intrigue is so much surrounded by someone who may not even play tonight, so who may not even pitch tonight in Paul Skeens. What's your excitement level, I guess, for this Game 3 with two incredibly talented teams and the first 3 picks in the draft, July 9th, playing in tonight's game?
And wouldn't it make so much sense, baseball sense, if the game was 1-0 tonight? Like, wouldn't that just be how horrible would that be for Florida fans? Like, couldn't have saved any of those runs for today.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
You had to go through all of them. That's always how baseball goes, right? Like,
yes.
30 runs cumulatively scored in one game, 1 run the next game. And look, I'm regardless of the outcome tonight, extremely impressed with LSU's performance. I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about at Rocco's Jello shots, where they are just crushing the record. I mean, it's insane. Like, I think they're up to 40-some thousand Jello shots consumed at $5 a piece. This is an insane amount of money spent on Jello shots. And then lastly, I saw this stat that blew my mind. If Florida wins tonight, they'll be the first Division I program in college sports to win multiple national championships in football, basketball, and baseball.
Oh, wow.
Hard to believe that nobody else has done that. But Florida's looking to become the first Division I program to ever do that.
Wow. I'm looking through the record books of Missouri, looking at basketball, football. No. So there's one eliminated at least.
Jason, I did the same thing with KU, and I couldn't come up with 2 national championships in baseball or football.
Looking for K-State, and also not finding it for K-State either. So the 3 local schools, those 3 have been eliminated. We know that. We can keep going down the list and find some more. Here's my question about the Jello shots. It's a great thing that you brought up. I'm glad you did that because they are crushing the record. But how many of those Jello shots do you think were actually thrown away or consumed by the fans there? Because there was a report of somebody, like one of the boosters for LSU, paid like $20,000 for these Jello shots.
The founder of Raising Cane's.
Yeah, that's right. Like, so I feel like they should have to be consumed if it's this Jello shot competition.
Oh, you're right.
So
they better have been consumed. You're absolutely right.
I don't believe they consume. I can't believe it that you would break the record by like 20,000, and all of those would be ingested. I don't know if they are digested. They might have come right back up, but still, at least the attempt. Here, Josh, you wanted to say something?
I was going to add that another booster has got 8,888 rally shots to the tune of over $44,000. Also now adding on to the LSU board. That was just 41 minutes ago.
Oh, so there you go. Well, wow. Money well spent. Money well spent on the you want to talk about real bragging rights.
I couldn't possibly think of a better way for that money to be spent. You know, like there's no way there's no way on earth that there could be a better usage of that money. Absolutely not. No way.
Nope, not at all. Visiting with Ari Timken, Sirius XM College Sports. Do you think we see Paul Skeens tonight? 243 pitches over the last 9 days, and Jay Johnson saying last night that they have a process that they go through before they announce or say which pitchers are available or not available. I'll tell you this, Paul Skeens wants to pitch tonight, and I wonder if, sorry, Royals fans, if there's a Madison Bumgarner tonight of 6th or 7th inning, Skeens comes on and protects a 1 or 2 run lead and pitches the rest of the way, and they win. I just very curious to see if this guy goes out there and throws after what he's done the last 9 days or so.
You know, it's funny when you said that. That was exactly what I was thinking too. Is you know, a guy that pitched in the previous game and has put a lot of innings, but he's got to have that opportunity like Madison Bumgarner did to close the thing out. And I think I could see the same thing happening with Skeens. I mean, how many pitchers did they go through yesterday? You know, like they don't have any. Who do they have left? considering they gave up all those runs yesterday. And on top of that, you need to make sure that you're not throwing guys out there that are going to, give up grand slams pretty consistent like they did last night, just to give up 24 runs. So, yeah, I think we're going to see Skeens at some point tonight. I do agree with you. I think it is going to be in a situation down the stretch of this game where they need to hold the lead, and we can give you 2-3 innings down the stretch if they need to. But that's sort of the balance here between this guy's got a future ahead of him and playing Major League Baseball, and you certainly want to be conscientious of that. But look, you get to this stage of it, and everybody's trying to win a national championship, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and you know what? Florida can take care of it. If Florida takes an early lead and controls the game, then we won't see them. If they do anywhere near what they did yesterday, which was me just stop paying attention. I'm like, okay, cool, I can go and do something else. I don't need to watch this game anymore. I appreciate you, Florida. If you're going to win the game, just do it and let me go and do something else with the kids or something. Hanging out with Ari Tipton, Sirius XM College Sports, is our guest. Okay, so West Virginia made a decision. Josh Eilert is the interim for the year. He's been on the West Virginia staff for 15 years or so, moving up from video coordinator and things like that to now being the interim head coach. Is this one to where Ren Baker looked at it and said, we can hire a coach for the long term now, but what are the candidates versus the candidates that could be there in April of next year or March of next year when we're at the coaches convention in the Final Four and everything with West Virginia's program as opposed to right now? Or how much of it was, hey, we want to keep these players together, so let's hire Josh Eilert, who the players want us to hire. And either way, we can have him for a year and see what he does for a year, and then we may hire and we may not.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a little bit of both. Ren Baker, who was newly hired by West Virginia, would have made a huge mistake if he really went through with what he said he wanted to do, which was hire the long-term coach, right now. You don't know who you have, and you don't know who is available if you wait until the end of this college basketball season. Bob Huggins did them absolutely no favors with the decisions that he made that led to this situation in the middle of June, which is basically no man's land in college basketball. And so, my guess is Ren had a pretty good idea of the short list of candidates. And look, if you talk to administrators around college athletics, they're always keeping in mind, like, okay, if the worst case scenario happens here, who are my options if something happens that I have got to go to those options? My guess is Ren exercised those options. It wasn't very fruitful, and he knew that he had no other choice but to elevate one of the assistants as the interim. One, you keep most of your players intact, which was obviously key. This was a really good transfer portal offseason for West Virginia. They get Kirk Carissa, who'd started 3 years at Arizona, as a really good point guard. He's a guy that entered the portal and has now since taken himself out of the portal and has confirmed his commitment to West Virginia because of Eilert. They also have Trey Mitchell, who transferred first from UMass to Texas, then from Texas to West Virginia. Now I don't know if he's immediately eligible. I don't know how you can be, but he's on his fourth team now, and it doesn't look like he's going to pull out. And he's, I think, pretty firm on Kentucky, who's after him. Joe Toussaint's a guy that was a big-time scorer for West Virginia last year, and K-State's apparently hot to trot for him. So we'll see if he ends up leaving. But beyond that, West Virginia had a really good haul in the transfer portal, and you hope, and I think that Kirk Reese's decision, and look, Jesse Edwards from Syracuse hasn't entered the portal again, so he's a guy that you think will stay there. But look, Josh Eilert's a guy that he went to Cloud Community College. He played at K-State. He got his master's degree at K-State, was a grad assistant at K-State under Bob Huggins. And, when Huggins left K-State after that one season, despite the history that Eilert had with Kansas State, decided to jump with Huggins to West Virginia. He's been there ever since, and he's worked in every capacity within that athletic department. He was a grad assistant at K-State. He was a video coordinator. He's basically done every single thing you could ever possibly do inside an administration and an athletic department, especially with that basketball program, which for me, I love. And I have not ruled out Eilert as a long-term solution there. A guy that again, has worked his way up, has done all the jobs. I think this is a team that could have some success this year, and if they do, it'd be hard to divorce him from that success and hard to do a national search, without having to factor him in. So I think he's going to make Ren Baker's job tougher But I think given the circumstances, this was the only option that they had.
Yeah, I would like Josh Eilert to be successful. I think it's a cool story with him working his way up, as you mentioned, grad assistant at K-State and going with Bob Huggins to West Virginia. I mean, Frank Martin was heading to West Virginia as well until he got the job at Kansas State, and then turned around. I think the story was Frank Martin was getting on the plane to head to West Virginia when he got the call, and then turned around and went back to Kansas State. Like, he was taking those guys with him. So good on Josh Eilert for getting this opportunity. I would love to see Ben McCollum eventually get an opportunity at Northwest Missouri State. I think he's a dynamite coach and Northwest Missouri State grad, and so I'm rooting for him. Also, it's kind of split. Like, I would love for him to stay at Northwest Missouri State and keep winning national championships. That'd be cool too. But it's about time. Go ahead,
Jason. He's a great. I apologize for getting you off there, but this is a great question here. Now, do you think they reached out to him because he was a guy on the short list that I'd heard, along with Andy Kennedy and some of these other guys? But I'm interested. Do you think they even reached out to him? Because for some of these other guys, it's probably hard to jump at this point D1 to D1. But where McCollum is at Northwest Missouri State, do you think that they even reached out to him? And do you think he said no? Because wouldn't that make sense for him to say yes, despite being so late in the game at this point?
I think they reached out, but they didn't need an interview because I think Ren Baker knew exactly what he was getting with Ben McCollum, whereas some of these other guys, it's like, well, he's interviewing this guy or they're interviewing that guy. I don't think it took a formal interview for Ren Baker reached out. And I think if he was offered the job, I think Ben McCollum would have taken it. And maybe Ren Baker's looking at it and saying, which to me would be the smart thing to do. To me, it's not about keeping the players together by hiring Josh Eilert. To me, it's about, I believe if I'm the AD, I believe West Virginia, this school, this program is at this level. And if I hire somebody right now, I believe my pool of candidates is limited to where it could be a year from now when I've got access to a lot of different people. How many coaches would say, no, I'm not leaving in June. I'm not going to leave this program in June. And it's just unfortunate. I'm going to be loyal here. But next March into April, when the coaches get hired, the pool of candidates is going to be much greater. So I would have gone the route of hiring an interim guy and then, come back around and say, look, Ben, I know you, and this time next year, we're going to may the best coach get the job, and certainly you're going to be a part of it, and I know what I'm getting with you, but right now we're going to go with an interim guy, and Josh Eilert, we'll see if he can go and win the job like Rodney Terry.
Yeah, and I think to your point, if the options that Ren Baker had in front of him were McCollum, but I'm not sure who stays on this roster, or Eilert with the best chance to keep this roster intact, I think, it's pretty obvious what the decision you need to make in that situation is.
Yep. Visiting with Ari Timken, Sirius XM College Sports. What is the level of West Virginia's basketball program, you think? Like, what we're seeing a lot of coaches a lot of coaches are staying at the place they are. We're not seeing just, well, this, mid-major coach is definitely going to jump no matter what, because there's a lot of more money out there in college athletics. But, what's the level of West Virginia? What kind of coach are they in the mix for?
It's a great question, and it's a question we've often wondered on the football side of things too.
Yeah.
What are reasonable expectations for West Virginia football? What are reasonable expectations for West Virginia basketball? I think, you've got to start with the NIL piece, and West Virginia seems to be very well equipped to be as competitive as anybody else in NIL. They have seemed to pull together resources and whether it be with the Country Roads Trust that's now been established as part of it. But it's clear that they're hitting it, and they're doing a good job in the transfer portal, which you can draw a straight line between that and how your NIL coffers are. So, number one, I'd say they're in pretty good shape and should be attractive because for a head coach, whether it's football or basketball, you want to know in this day and age, do I have all of the resources that I need in order to be as successful as I possibly can? And I think West Virginia is certainly up there. I think it's still more of a quote unquote football school, but they've had a lot of success in basketball. Historically, when you look at some of the, Jerry West went to West Virginia, so you could do a lot worse than that in terms of all-time great players and administrators in the history of the game. And there's a good long line of really good players that have come out of that university. There's a lot of talent, and then just in the state alone, you are just so beloved. From a football perspective, you've got fans that drive 6-7 hours every Saturday to watch their team play in Morgantown. That's how committed they are to that football program. So I think from a fan engagement standpoint, it's very high, and I think from a resource standpoint, it's very high as well, as they're committed to the success. Now, from a coaching perspective, I would be very concerned about the travel situation in the Big 12.
Yeah,
and I mean that is a significant disadvantage, and especially in basketball where you're playing twice a week and you're having to travel midweek, and it's only getting worse and worse with talk around Colorado, BYU's joining, obviously July 1. That's not easy travel to be making from West Virginia all the way across to BYU. And funny enough, I think when I looked it up, it was like, just based on my own geographical mind, West Virginia has got to be closer to Orlando, right? Like Orlando is a good addition for them. I think I looked; it's like a mile closer, or like 10 miles closer to Orlando than it is to Lawrence, Kansas, from Morgantown. So,
wow.
That gives you a sense of they're just in no man's land by themselves unless the conference expands, into that region. That's really a tough deal for a coach, and something you have to factor in if you're a coach that has competitive offers from other spots.
Visiting with Ari Timken, Sirius XM College Sports, it's a great point about the travel, and if you're going to choose West Virginia, or if you're a coach that's coveted, do you wait for a different opportunity? Because look, I know Ben McCollum's had some opportunities, but it's like, okay, if I go there, I'm not in a better spot at that place than I am right now at Northwest Missouri State, so I'm not going to chase that job as opposed to being happy at the spot I am. And had a conversation last Big 12 Media Days with Jerome Tang. And Jerome Tang had opportunities, but it was like, okay, is this opportunity worth it to where I'm going to go there, and the job and the opportunity to be successful, is it there, is it not, or where I'm at right now? And also there was the element of, which is amazing to think about now, it blew me away when I was talking with Jerome Tang, and he said that, he heard from ADs that actually told him, we'd love to hire you, but we won't win the press conference, and we need that right now, and so we're going to go a different direction. And then he went and had one of the best opening press conferences I've ever seen, right, and then takes that team to the Elite Eight. Like, how foolish is it to win the press conference? So you never really know, one, the ADs who they're interested in, and if the coach is actually interested in taking that job. Because I also think there's a culture fit too at West Virginia. West Virginia fans and people in that state have the feel of fighting everybody, because we're tired of everybody thinking we're just a bunch of podunk backcountry woods,
right,
living in the sticks with no internet or indoor plumbing and all of that stuff. There's a feel of everybody is against us in West Virginia. There's a culture fit. I don't think you're gonna. Rick Pitino ain't coaching at West Virginia, so that's not happening.
No. I mean, you're right. And the old Zeke from Cabin Creek thing with Jerry West, right? He hated that nickname because it just made this assumptions about, what people from West Virginia, where he was from, that he was uncomfortable with. So I think you're exactly right there in terms of being a cultural fit. And look, I mean, again, when you've got the resources, and not just from an NIL perspective, but to be as competitive as you possibly can on a salary front, and then an assistant coach salary pool, you've got a chance. But I think we're at an age now where coaches are and can be way more selective.
Yeah.
10, 20 years ago, I don't know that Jerome Tang is turning down the opportunities that he turned down to stay at Baylor to be an assistant as long as he did. I think you can say the same thing probably about Luke Fickell, who recently left for Wisconsin, but had a lot of offers. So, I think, Matt Campbell is a great example of this. This is a guy that, got multiple calls from the NFL and said, no, thank you, to the NFL from Iowa State. So I just think, things are different now. I think coaches can be more selective. It used to be where it was you only were in a few conferences that were on TV as consistently as possible, and now every conference is featured on TV. So guys play everywhere. Certainly NIL and having the right NIL coffers set up is really impactful and important towards building and maintaining the right roster. And I think people understand that they can win anywhere, and being aligned with the athletic director and administration is way more important than anything else.
Do you think we're close, and this is completely changing the subject here, but do you think we're close to a resolution with the IARP and KU? They're the only team left. All of the other ones have come to a conclusion, and it is just KU. If I had $1 for every time I heard, hey, in the next month or so, they're going to get the results here, they're going to hear from the NCAA and the IARP in the next month, I think I'd have $10. But still, it's a lot of times that's happened. Are we close to a resolution with this IRP thing, hopefully?
I mean, how could we not be? This is one of the most insane stories I've ever heard. When you consider that the NCAA had taken its time on many cases over the course of many, many years, but they did not have any judicial power in those cases. So they had evidence that they had to come up with themselves without any subpoena power, right? In this case, the FBI signed, sealed, and delivered everything that they could have possibly needed to adjudicate this. What is taking forever? You don't even need to find your own evidence. It's all there. It was all subpoenaed. There were people that spoke on the record in the court of law. This has never happened before in college athletics, and somehow, some way, this still is dragging on. How is that possible? I've never seen anything like it. This is one of the first NCAA cases where they have the evidence that was supplied to an actual judicial system, the power that they never have, and still we're waiting on it. It is really insane. I think people are going to be horribly disappointed, especially Missouri and K-State fans, when it finally comes down, because it seems like it's going to be a slap on the wrist relative to what we expected. Mm-hmm. A lot has changed. I mean, my God, has a lot changed in college athletics since this started. I mean, it's crazy to think of where the mentality of college administrators and where this thing was when this started versus where we are now, where all of the stuff that KU is guilty of in this case, because again, we literally somebody has gone to jail over this, so we can say that, and yet despite that, it appears as though the IARP had no interest in doing the bidding that the NCAA wanted it to do, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, this is the last final one of the IARP's entire existence. And their existence only occurred because in order to get these things to happen quicker.
Yep. It's going to expedite the process, and they're going to only specifically work on these cases. That's it. NCAA has all these other cases they got to worry about, and all these other sports. IARP, just these things, and it's taken this long, and it's taken so long, Ari, that from the time the FBI investigation started to now, what was going on with Brian Dawkins is now allowed. It's now okay to do what they did with Brian Dawkins and shopping him around to different schools to see which school will come up with some money for him. It's now there would be a collective that they would just say, here you go. Here's the money out of this collective. You can come to school here. But at the time it was FBI and wiretaps and we've got your playbook. Oh, okay. And ultimately at the end, much ado about nothing, because now these states are passing, laws that it's all good. That the NCAA, in fact, Missouri, is getting ready for the governor to sign there. Texas just did it. That the NCAA, in fact, cannot punish a public school for anything NIL related. Like, it's just illegal to do that for a public school in Texas, and it's about to be the same thing in Missouri.
And the amazing thing is, Bill Self told me last year at Big 12 Media Days that it was actually the investigation that helped Kansas win the national championship a couple of years ago, because Bill Self said he's not recruiting Christian Brown or Ochai Agbaji in a world where they weren't under investigation like they were.
Yeah.
So how about that?
Yeah, well, good for Kansas. About time something good happened for them. So I'm glad the basketball program. Even when they lose, they win. What in the hell? Missouri just win 4 games in one tournament. 4 games in one, unless you're the play-in team. Then 5 games in one tournament. Just win 4 games in one tournament. That's it. One time in my life. This team under NCAA investigation and the FBI and IARP, and they're like, well, because of that, we won a national championship. So in your face.
Yeah, I don't know how that would sit with you, but I still. I mean,
all good. I love Bill
Self. Because as a KU fan, but as a KU fan going through that, you're like, oh man, this is killing our recruiting. We're not recruiting at the level we've been recruiting at, and you end up getting 2 guys in the development process that bought into what Bill Self was selling and developed and turned themselves into lottery picks that were guys that coming out were certainly not lottery picks.
No, it's it is a great story from that standpoint of being able to turn the negative into a positive. Not a great story because at the time it was the FBI and everything, but now it's all now you can do that.
I found the timeline here on the IARP website. The chair designee of the NCAA Division I Committee on Infractions requested the Infractions Referral Committee refer the Kansas infractions case to the Appendant Accountability Resolution process on May 18th, 2020. That was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And there was a whole bunch of, here 2020, we get to eventually to 2021. It has been 3 years since that request gets referred over to the chair designee of COI. 3 years later. It's like, so guys, NIL is totally legal now.
It just, honestly, it also shows really the importance of what the NCAA IRB think of the whole thing, to where they're not really expediting the process. They're just simply going about the process, whatever. And when they give out the penalties, it won't be nearly what it would have been. Look, if the NCAA was handling these cases, they would have already decided, and KU would lose a tournament. It'd be at least one tournament. They'd lose all the games. But if it was the NCAA, but the IARP, when that first one came out, and maybe it was NC State, where the chair of that committee said, we don't want to punish the current players for what happened before, so there is no postseason ban. I'm like, best thing KU heard. That's the best thing KU heard, is there's your precedent for the IARP, and that they are not going to take a postseason ban, because the NCAA COI without the IARP absolutely would have almost all of these schools sitting out at least one postseason.
Carlton Bragg is currently a member of the Edmonton Stingers. I don't know if that's something the NCAA can get involved with.
Really?
CEBL.
Man, you can't punish that prideful program, the Edmonton Stingers.
Really, Josh?
Well, how about the dude that was at the center of all of this, that got in the fight with K-State? Why is the guy's name escaping? I mean, where's he now?
Oh, Sylvia D'Souza. Where is D'Souza?
Yeah,
I'm on it.
You're right, exactly. Yeah. He's at the center of all of this.
Yes. What is now I'm going to look up what's Brian Dawkins doing. Not the football player.
Has he been released from prison? Like, it almost seems like he's almost fulfilled his entire prison sentence during this period of time. Yeah. I mean, this couldn't be more NCAA, and it was amazing because this whole deal was established, to try to supersede the horrible red tape of the NCAA, and it just has worked out so perfectly NCAA, where this IARP that the NCAA established actually probably looked into it and was like, you know what? Actually, you guys are the criminals, and so we're going to side with the universities in most of these cases and make you guys look bad.
Yes, Christian Dawkins.
It really is remarkable.
Not Brian Dawkins, Christian Dawkins. I'll get names right eventually. There's, hopefully another couple shows left in my tenure, but eventually be there.
Silvio De Sousa's tweeted out some workout videos. Somebody said here, our guy Silvio De Sousa getting the work done in France. So maybe he's playing in France somewhere. It's not immediately clear on his Wikipedia page, but
there you go. And Brian Bowen, who was being shopped around, is playing for the Iowa Wolves in the G League. So there you go.
Hey, I have a photo right here of Silvio De Sousa crouching down for a tip-off against Victor Wembanyama. They've gone head-to-head. Two titans of basketball here.
There it is. It's all coming full circle. All coming full circle.
It's not a joke.
That is amazing. Ari Temkin, SiriusXM College Sports. Ari, thank you for the time, man. I appreciate it as always. We'll catch up soon. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jason. Take care, Josh. Bye, guys.
Absolutely. There's Ari Temkin. Great stuff. Love talking with Ari. And SiriusXM College Sports. And, boy, a lot of stuff covered there. College World Series tonight, West Virginia, the IARP. I don't even know what Christian Dawkins is up to, but Brian Bowen is in the G League. Bowen was the guy that was being shopped to Creighton, Arizona, Oklahoma State, Louisville, like all these different schools. Brian Bowen. And he's playing in the G League. Was he drafted? No, he went undrafted. Played for the Sydney Kings. I played a little bit for the Pacers. Fort Wayne, the Mad Ants for Fort Wayne in the G League.
Fort Wayne Mad Ants?
Yeah, is that something you're about to buy?
Sounds like a jersey I might need.
I was getting ready to say, there's a hat in Josh Briscoe's future of the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. There you go. I actually am interested in what Christian Dawkins is up to. Where is he at? Christian Dawkins. Well, he's in prison. So,
and requested a new trial, denied that request.
It's amazing. He's in prison for doing what. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone right after this. I want to hear from Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, sort of encapsulating their mentality in roughly 40-second soundbite. We'll do that next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, Kansas City. Kevin Harlan here. I know being a champion means you're a leader in your field, and you always rise above your competition. That's why, when summer temperatures get extreme, our house has a Champion premium system that keeps my family comfortable and cool. Get peak performance in your home by finding a local Champion dealer at championhomecomfort.com.
that full moon during the game broadcast.
I like that rule. It's a beautiful planet.
Well, it's a moon.
That looks like a planet to me.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, welcome back here in the zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. Coming up on August 14th, the annual Sports Radio 810 Listener Golf Tournament. That's going to take place at Prairie Highlands Golf Course. Go to 810WHB.com/golf so you can register the foursome that you want to play with at Prairie Highlands on August 14th for just $108.10, 10810. You get golf, cart, drink tickets, breakfast, lunch, goodie bag. There's going to be prizes at different hole locations, which is going to be fun. There are going to be personalities, 810 personalities, I guess, that'll be on the course. 810 on-air hosts probably is a better way to describe that. Josh Brisco will be there throughout the tournament. Live broadcast.
Shirt off all day.
Yep, there's a live broadcast.
Sorry, I just
from
read the rest of it. It says Josh will keep his shirt on.
There are no rules. Josh, put your shirt on. There's one rule.
Shirt's on.
The live broadcast with the Border Patrol and the Zone.
That's us.
Yes, we'll be out there at Prairie Highlands August 14th. Again, registration is now open. Go to 810WHB.com/golf to register the foursome today. Space for the event is limited, and the foursomes are reserved and booked in the order they are received until space lasts. So once it's out, space is out, it's out, and there's no more foursomes being entered into this 810 Listener Golf Tournament, Prairie Highlands Golf Course. Again, that's 810WHB.com/golf. You're going to get out there and play now that we've gone to a couple of golf spots and you've taken some lessons, you've swung it a couple of times. Are you going to add? Are you the free mulligan for people on like, hey, here's the 9th hole, and Josh will also have a tee shot for you?
I think what I'm hoping happens is that I can do a shot with you at one certain hole. If you want me to also take a shot, I guess I can. But yeah, I mean, I've gotten a couple of practice hacks in. I'd love to get out there and go ahead and really ruin someone else's day by just taking just a putter at the tee box and just going to town and seeing what happens. But I think we will do things that will hopefully make your experience more fun and enjoyable. And if that includes me swinging a golf club and all of you and your friends laughing at me, then that's something I'm willing to do. I'm a team player.
But also taking shots more than swinging golf clubs.
I'm more qualified for that.
Yes. Although if you bought a shot, you wouldn't have to actually drink it, take it, whatever it is, especially if it's a Jell-O shot at the College World Series, which is such a technicality that they're paying all this money for LSU to break the record for the Jell-O shots there in Omaha. And somebody paid $40,000 again today?
Yeah, I think it was about $44,000 today. Some
ridiculous
personal injury lawyer and an LSU alum. I have to. They got to make them. They've at least got to make them at the restaurant. You can't just say I want the idea of 8,888 Jell-O shots.
Yeah, because I want to see somebody go up with a tray.
Yeah.
Of 8,888.
That's what I'm seeing.
Jell-O shots.
So you got to have those.
Did you just say, and I completely missed the significance of the eights?
No, I don't know why that is.
I didn't know if you were like, the 8th national championship.
Totally possible.
I'm like, well, what's the 8 for? Hey, jackass, I just said.
Didn't say it.
That it's for this. So I just wanted to make sure.
You're acquitted of not listening on this one.
Thank you. I'm a quitter. Acquitted. Great. Yeah, I don't know how many national championships LSU has won, but who does the math on that? I want 8,888 of these Jell-O shots. I guess the math isn't crazy if it's like, $8.10 per Jell-O shot.
Yeah, they're $5 a shot.
So there.
So that's what that one's about. 44,000 and change.
Easy math, I guess, with just a quick little calculator. So
I am also conflicted, and apparently all of the proceeds go to food banks for all of their 8 teams, and it's all good. I get it, but do the shots.
Is that what you were going to say, Dylan? Nope.
Mike's off, Dylan. Mike's off, Dylan. Dylan, Mike. And we're here.
Yeah, we got you.
Hey, Dylan. How are you?
What are you going to say, Dylan?
Hi. So I'm with Josh. I want to see them not only be made, but you have to.
Yes.
Is there that many people in attendance of that bar that can down that many shots? I mean,
No way.
what are we doing?
Yeah, that's
No
a good
way.
point. Yeah, how many people?
Like, do you go
what's
out on the
capacity?
street with the tray and like, hey, we had
Yeah, no.
extras?
Isn't it like a smaller
And that's
bar?
fine. If you want to take
That'd
them
be
out
cool.
front, this seems like there might be legal issues here. But we want to take them out front and just say take a Jello shot. Somebody already bought them. You can deputize the people, I guess. But
See, I wonder. I went to the College World Series a while ago when it was at Rosenblatt, and that was awesome because the location there and like down the street had all these little bars, and every team had their local fan bar that they went to, and so that was really cool. And I'm trying to think back if people were allowed to walk around in that certain area, were allowed to have alcohol walking around.
yeah, what
or
are the
anything like
rules
that.
in Omaha?
But now it's at a different location, so I don't know. I haven't been to where it's been at TD Ameritrade. I haven't been to the College World Series since then. This would have been the one to go to with all of the major league talent that's playing in it.
I'm also looking at Rocco's photos here, and they're definitely not fitting 8,000 people in here. It's not a tiny spot, but we're gonna have capacity issues.
Can you fit 1,000 that take 8.8 shots apiece?
Is there a patio as well?
There
that we
is
can
a
get the
patio.
people to come and get on the premises.
No, the
Yeah.
patio I think is going to come in really clutch because I think you can just keep all of your Jello shots on the inside of the railing there. But I'm going to need some evidence of more of these being consumed.
Because it's not. It no longer becomes a Jello shot contest. It just
Right.
becomes a fundraiser.
It's a $5 donation contest.
That's exactly
I'll
right.
donate $5 8,888 times. Cool, man. You want 8,000 Jello shots? No.
Because it started organically.
Yeah.
Where they were just like, oh, yeah, these group of LSU fans or whatever it is. And then they started keeping the chalkboard and keeping the tally. And then word got around, and then it just became like wildfire. And they're like, hey, let's do this every single year, and we can raise money. And it's become one of the cool parts surrounding, the College World Series. But this is skewing it. This is skewing the numbers. This shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be allowed. You should have to actually be there in person and pay the money. And not just like so when they're
Here's a picture of what looks like pretty full capacity here we're looking at
Rocco's.
At Rocco's.
So are they paying in person, or is somebody just like ordering like a telethon?
Great question.
Is somebody showing up with a credit card and getting $44,000?
The Raising Cane's CEO, founder, and also he puts in his bio head fry chef as well still, which, his roots, I respect it.
Little look at me.
He was the first one to do it, and I think he bought like almost 10,000 shots.
In person?
Yes.
So
he was in person, but that was where I started to say, well, there's not 10,000 people there. There's no way that you're going to
so what?
Be able to distribute all
Right. Do you just simply say 10,000 shots? Anybody in here that wants one, come on up and get Jello shots. You want 2, 3, whatever it is. I've paid for 10,000 of them. We're not. But over the next 5 minutes, anybody that wants a Jello shot, come on up here and get a Jello shot. It ain't gonna get to 10,000, so it's all good, whatever it is. But I mean, just like
They do have a lot of them in fridges and stuff here, like in pre-made containers and stuff that I'm seeing. But this was from several days ago. I think they have sold out in all likelihood if they were actually putting every one of these up on a table.
That's right. I mean, again, they don't have 10,000 sitting back there in the refrigerator waiting to go.
Hey, I'll take 10,000 Jello shots. Hold 8,000 Jello shots.
Mainly,
what?
Mainly because wasn't the record like 20,000?
I think that's right.
At like some point, it was like 20,000. So they didn't have 10,000 in a refrigerator ready to go because that was half of what the record was like before this year.
We could also just subtract the large purchases and then go off of that.
That's a great
as
point.
well.
Yes.
They've got to give us those books. They got to let us see those numbers. You're right, Dylan. That's what we need to see.
Just like golf, they have to turn in their scorecard at the end of the round. At the end of the College World Series, you turn in the chalkboard and we do the math.
Like I want to see the individual like the fans from Oral Roberts showing up for the Jello shots. Like that seems to be pretty on that wouldn't be, working outside of the rules or whatever the perceived rules should be there.
Right.
That you're, fan of Oral Roberts showing up and you're taking part in the contest and, hey, let's get some Jello shots. Everybody, hey, there's 10 for Oral Roberts. All right. It's great. Yeah.
It's more impressive if Oral Roberts bought and consumed 3,300 Jello shots than LSU buying 50,000 and consuming 2,000 of them.
Agreed. Yes.
We got to get to the bottom of this, man. PEDs are taking over sports. Performance enhancing donations. Speaking of the golf tournament, 810WHB.com/golf.
There's a golf tournament coming up later on this week that we'll be able to watch and watch Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. Steve Weish from NFL.com was out in Hawaii. He drew the short straw of having to cover Patrick Mahomes' charity golf tournament for the 15 and Mahomies in Hawaii, going on this week or today. And here is, let's play Travis Kelce first. Here's Travis Kelce. He's being interviewed by Steve Weish. It's about a minute long. Kelce talking about some golf, and then, you might as well throw some strays at different teams while you're doing that.
All right, Trav, so you're getting ready to play in Patrick's Foundation golf tournament.
Yes.
You guys came in on the helicopter. It's kind of a dramatic entrance, right?
It was epic. It made us feel like, at least it made me feel like a king with all these layers and all the beautiful Hawaiian culture that we're enjoying this weekend, man. It's been fun.
Okay, so you guys get the big match with Klay and Steph.
Oh yeah.
Later this week. All right, so this is kind of a tune-up?
This is the tune-up, yeah. This is the tune-up. We're still going to try and come out here and win this thing, but we know when the lights are on, we got to show out.
Okay, so have you got something to say to Klay and Steph? We know Steph is like a supreme golfer too.
Yeah.
But what's the message right now?
The message right now is, we've never lost in Vegas. Both on the golf course, we won our as a team. We beat everybody at Justin Timberlake's golf tournament, and then obviously the Raiders.
Shots fired.
Haven't lost to the Raiders yet. I don't even want to say yet. We just never lost in Vegas, and that's the bottom line.
I love Kelce throwing a stray towards the Raiders that, we don't lose in Vegas. We win in golf, and we win on the football field. I love it. So we'll see in Vegas later on this week on TNT on the 29th with the match. Here's Patrick Mahomes with Steve Weish. And so you get the Travis Kelce having some fun with the Hawaiian shirt and the lei and all of that stuff, and throwing some shots at the Raiders and having fun from that perspective and talking a little smack. And here's Patrick Mahomes with Steve Weish.
We're out here raising money for charity for your foundation today.
Out here with the 15 of the Mahomies Foundation on the beautiful big island of Hawaii. Trying to raise a ton of money and have a lot of fun playing some golf.
Okay, but there's also the big match later this week too. I mean, is this kind of the tune-up, fine-tuning, getting ready for Steph and Klay?
Yeah, I scheduled it perfect timing. I wanted to make sure I had a tournament-type atmosphere as kind of the tournament before the match. And I'm going to go win this one first, and then I'm going to go beat Steph and Klay with Travis Kelce with me.
Okay, so on that note, weak link of that foursome. It's not your guy, is it?
It's not my guy. Sorry, Klay. I think it's you. It's nothing personal, but I think Travis is ready to roll.
All right, man. Go have some fun. Go raise some money.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you, Patrick.
Travis Kelce talks some crap to the Raiders fans, and Patrick Mahomes says, I scheduled my 15 and Mahomies charity golf tournament the week of the match so I can have a tournament setting to get ready for the match. Because even when it comes to playing golf during the summer, he wants some sort of prep work to be fully prepared to play golf against Steph and Klay. So his 15 and Mahomies is scheduled for June 26th because he's playing on June 29th in the match.
I went golfing on Father's Day to be ready for this here in Hawaii for 15 of the Mahomies. Told Brittany wanted to get in a few extra holes. So, prep for this one with that. And, of course, prep for Father's Day by golfing each of these 6 weekends, alternating here, going back the last 3 months. And it all started with Bobby, really. It's my ankles.
All culminating in the match on the 29th and then the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe the week of July 11th.
He's going to be an annoyingly good golfer post-football.
Well,
people are going to be sick of him.
Yeah, I mean, the athleticism and all of that stuff's already there, the natural gifts. Yeah, he's going to put in the work and he's going to be a great golfer.
What if he gets really fat though? What if he's like John Daly aesthetically, but Patrick Mahomes competitively? In his
on the football
50s and
field?
60s.
Oh,
no, we're moving way
okay.
Looking way down the line.
I was gonna say, watch your mouth.
No. I'm not worried. No, I'm not
dude?
worried about that while he stays a professional athlete in that sense.
Yes. I don't know. I can't imagine him having the dad bod. I don't know.
Just being like 320, some loud pants, maybe a beard at that point.
Is John Daly a dad bod? I feel like it's more. I think it's closely resembling a dad bod than what people online say a dad bod is.
Yeah,
like a dad bod feels like it's like a late 20s, guy.
Yeah.
John Daly's more of like, well, this is actually the dad bod is right there.
John Daly's like Papa Bear bod.
Papa Bear. There was brother and sister bear.
Yeah, that's about right.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Don't give in to that constant joint pain. Take control. Take back your...
WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. Mick Schaefer comes up in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funniest best before the show is over as well. 810WHB.com/golf is where you can go to sign up for the Listener Golf Tournament coming up on August 14th, Prairie Highlands Golf Club. 8 a.m. registration, 9 a.m. shotgun start. That is on August 14th. Again, 810WHB.com/golf. $108.10 per player, and that includes golf, cart. You get drink tickets, breakfast, lunch, prizes on different holes all throughout the golf tournament. So go and sign up for that. Space is limited. Plus, there'll be on-air personalities out there.
Oh.
There'll be some people that are just great personalities. They'll be doing like 10-minute stand-ups. Do you have a tight 10?
I think I got about a tight 2.5 if necessary.
Great. And so people will be perfecting their stand-ups. It'll be great.
That's a great sales job for
Yes.
that. Come on out and listen to Josh and Jason work on their stand-up.
I'm just going to throw some new jokes out here just to see how they go. And then, once I get to the real clubs, then I'll start to hone in on my delivery on these particular jokes.
A lot of crowd work during the golf tournament. So,
but I'm going to start. These are new ones that I think they have potential. I just don't know the construction of them just yet. I'll get it figured out.
We're going to hone this.
Yes.
Very slowly.
Very slowly. Again, tonight, College World Series Game 3, 6 o'clock on ESPN, Kansas City. 6 o'clock on ESPN as well. But Florida and LSU. Florida the favorites in tonight's matchup. Jack Caglione on the mound. He is the Shohei Ohtani of the College World Series of college baseball. The guy who leading the nation in home runs and has a 3.8 ERA. So he's a sophomore, not even draft eligible. Could be the number 1 pick next year. So it could be somebody the Royals end up with, or somebody that goes right in front of the Royals next year, or somebody the Royals take and then can't figure out pitching or hitting, and then they screw up both. Like, who knows?
Maybe somebody who goes 7 picks before the Royals pick it all.
Even though they would have one of the worst records in baseball.
Still possible.
Because the lottery is fun.
Lottery.
Yay. Cool.
Mazarise Jewelry, family-owned store for 4 generations, is having their annual watch rebate all month long. Buy a new watch and receive a rebate to use on another item in store. Some exclusions apply. You can also trade in or sell them your pre-loved watch. Great brands like Omega, Breitling, Carl Boucherer, and more. Mazarise also services all brands of watches. Check them out online at mazzjewelry.com. Mazarise Jewelry.
Yeah!
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer.
There's another Dylan back there, too.
What?
Do you know his last name? Is you just do you even learn interns' last names?
Do interns have last names?
Dylan Bolton's.
Is that even his real name? To just Dylan name him his own name?
I think he got here, said his name was Dylan because he wanted to fit in, and that has had horrible repercussions because all of our other interns are actually named Mick.
Yeah. Vanderveen.
Dylan Vanderveen.
It's a good last name.
Sounds made up, too.
Yeah.
It really does. It sounds like he panicked and came up with an answer real quick. My name is really Dylan.
I'm Dutch.
Dylan Van Dylan.
Sounds like the knockoff movie of the Vanderhoss twins or Vanderwinkle twins, whatever those guys' names are. Facebook guys, yeah. Dylan, what's his name again?
Winklevoss?
Winklevoss.
Is that right?
That should be his intern nickname.
Winklevoss.
That's it.
Wow.
Winklevoss the intern.
Did I just bestow a
you
nickname
just gave an intern.
onto?
Is that your first one?
Yeah, I've never.
It's your first naming of an
I
intern?
usually don't even talk to the interns
No,
because
why
I
would
want
you?
them to feel like they're beneath me.
Yeah.
But then I walked in and said, "Hey, what's up, Dylan?" They both said, "Hey, what's up?" Like, damn it, I had to talk to him, so I got to name him now.
And then you looked at Dylan Michaels and said, tell him I'm not talking to him. Okay? Winklevoss.
As long as you avoid eye contact, they'll still understand kind of the
I
like
broke
I'm
the
on TV
internship
vibe.
seal. I
There you
really
go.
did.
It's your first baptism.
It is.
First time you've done it. Dunk the intern in water.
I think Winklevoss is a sweet nickname, though.
It's a really good nickname, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Just need to find somebody else to share it with him. They can be the twin.
Winklevoss twin.
Yes. The 810 listener golf tournament. We told you about this in the previous hour.
Do I get to be there for free? Can I play for free? I just want to play golf for free.
It says personalities will be there, so I don't think that
I
you fit into
have
that category.
personalities. Lots of them.
So tell me about this Mick. Is he good looking? He's got a great personality. Right, but would I be attracted to him?
Oh my God, you should
He's
see
going to
his
make you laugh.
personality.
He is going to make, you talked, remember Jeff, your ex-boyfriend, he didn't make you laugh. You talked about that all the time. This person will make you laugh, but will I be attracted to him? You're going to have so much fun.
Jeff had Mick has a huge personality.
He's got
enormous
a
personality.
A bigger personality.
Yes,
than
but Jeff had a
anything
huge
Jeff
bank
could
account.
have.
But Mick will make you laugh at that guy's bank account.
We're going to test what you've been saying this whole time, Tracy.
exactly
all you
right,
want
Tracy.
is someone to make you laugh, okay?
That's right, Tracy.
Well, that's the only quality Mick has. Nothing else. He's a poor, ugly schmuck. But he is funny. It's a returner.
Acquired taste, at least. I'll mark it.
Oh, yeah. It's a returner, and we'll hear it on Friday as well. But $108.10 for the foursome on August 14th at Prairie Highlands, the Scottish Link Style course. So that'll be, again, August 14th.
Prairie a lot.
Oh, yeah?
They used to, previous ownership, let me play there for free. I loved it.
Because you made them laugh?
You notice I love to play free golf. That's my favorite kind of golf.
If you just keep making people laugh, they will let you on the course. Mick Schaefer plays here? Why? Hey, it's so funny. He keeps the members entertained constantly. He does a set every Friday night, and so we allow him to play some golf on the weekends.
You should be able to parlay that into a thing. I think like Mick will just give Mick a free pass.
I'll tweet about it.
He'll tweet about it.
There you go.
I've parlayed that into a thing.
He'll be here to you bring one friend and then Mick and his friend. You guys will make a foursome here. Now you get to play with TV's Mick Schaefer.
108.10, right? That's
Yep.
That's a great deal for that tournament, by the way.
Yeah,
you could charge a lot more.
That's right.
But you get 2 meals, you get some drinks, you get golf. That's a good deal.
It's like $27.02.
What do you mean?
Something like that per person.
Whoa, it's 108 for the entire team?
Yeah, for the foursome, right?
No, it's got to be per person.
Well, I'm just reading here. 108
Per player.
Yeah, 108 per player.
Okay, well, that should really be. It says $108.10. Register your foursome today. 810whb.com/golf.
Yeah, I mean,
probably should
if
say
you play golf, you know that it's per person
on the website.
I thought that was just an amazing deal.
10 per player. But,
that would be an amazing deal.
So no, I'm just looking at the copy points that were sent
Jason,
to me.
Can I get the copy points from you real quick? Can I just get that sheet?
Yeah, what are you going to make it? Are you going to amend something there?
No, definitely not.
Going to go ahead and write something down there at the second. Thanks.
Per player. Okay, now Jason, read that one with one of the pen markings right above it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
All right. Sports Radio 810 Listener Golf Tournament is coming up on August 14th. You can go to 810whb.com and /golf and check that out. It's at Prairie Highlands, and for just $108.10 per player, you receive golf cart, drink tickets, breakfast, lunch, a goodie bag, and the opportunity to win amazing prizes with 810 personalities will be there throughout the course.
All the Dylans.
Live broadcasts of the Border Patrol and the Zone. And registration is now open at 810whb.com/golf to register your foursome today. I did the quick math, and it comes out to $108.10 per player.
Nick, that's a great deal. You ever play Prairie
That is a
Highlands?
great deal. Do you know what would be a better deal?
What's a better deal?
The entire team was 108.
You should have a foursome to where the whole team
How about
is like
this?
$108.
Let's throw out the price of Patrick Mahomes' 15 the Mahomes Aloha Classic he had this weekend. Do you know how much it was for a foursome to play in that?
$810.
No, and don't say something crazy like $35, Jason. It's higher than 35. Higher than 108.
I was hoping that $35
included
$810
airfare and hotel
for the whole team.
For the whole team.
Okay.
Okay, and this is just to play in it. It's not airfare, hotel, or anything. It's just to play in it. Okay, I'm going to say $10,000 for the whole team.
You guys are woefully under $35,000 for a foursome.
Well, you said don't say $35. I should have gone $35,000 based on you said. Don't even say $35. $35,000.
And if you wanted to play with a celebrity, NFL players there, whatever, you and two other guys, three guys to play with a fourth celebrity, it was $40,000 for the three of you.
How much to play with Patrick Mahomes?
I don't even know that's offered. He probably has his own. I bet it was him and Kelsey getting ready for the match on Thursday and a couple other dudes.
How much could you raise to you and another dude to play the foursome with Kelsey and Mahomes at the 15 of Mahomes in Hawaii? Because you would have enough money to get to Hawaii and back and stay there, because if you're paying that much money to play golf, then you probably got some coin. How much would they charge to say, yep, Kelsey and me, and then two people to come in and play?
How much would they charge? How much could they charge?
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, woulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
For two dudes, easily $100,000.
Yeah, I would say 50
a piece. 50 a piece.
50 a piece. Okay, $100,000 for the twosome.
Yeah, maybe more. I mean, there's plenty of rich dudes out there that want to
That
go
submarine was $250,000 per person.
And
this
you're
one's on
not going
ground.
to die after this.
Yeah, this one just seems safe.
Oh my God! I saw Patrick Mahomes and I just died.
Well,
so you might.
I literally
died. I literally died when I saw him. In fact, we're talking in the afterlife right now.
They could charge several $100,000.
Eventually, these numbers stop meaning anything to me, because I wouldn't pay $250,000 or $10 billion or $1,000.
Once there's a comma in it, it's like, okay,
yeah,
I'm out.
good.
I'm out. I'm putting my auction paddle down.
Yeah, so there's a comma involved.
I'm not paying $250,000 to be crushed in a submarine either.
But I wouldn't pay $2,000 to do that.
Seems like a terrible investment.
We were took a trip with a few other couples to Vegas last year, and the night before, I had a dream that Kelsey and Mahomes were there, and they were playing behind us.
Yeah.
And they recognized me, and it was like, hey, you should grab a buddy and play golf with us. And there was like 8 of us there. So I grabbed one of the other 7 guys, and I told him the next day, hey, in my dream, I picked you.
I picked you.
I picked you to golf with me and Patrick and Travis. He's like, dude, that'd be so awesome. So the whole time on the course, the next day we were looking back behind us. Could that be Travis back there? That could be, but it wasn't. It wasn't foreshadowing anything. It was just a loony dream.
Travis is like, hey, Patrick, we should invite this guy into our group. Why? I mean, is he a good golfer? No, but he'll make you laugh.
He's got a great personality.
He's really funny.
What kind of what are the odds of Patrick and Travis just inviting complete strangers into their stardom world.
Hey guys, we're just playing. You got a bunch of guys in your.
You look like fun guys. You got the Bad Birdie shirts on. They're all flowery and crazy. I love the orange hat.
Oh, this is fun.
Come have a time.
Just join our group, and we're just Patrick and Travis
We
just
play
hanging
football.
out.
What do you guys do?
We play.
Hold on. Are you a fan of Mill Valley? Because they win a lot. We win a lot. Let's join forces.
Every Coors Light adds a 1% chance. It starts at 0, and then each one adds a 1%
I
chance.
like it. By the end of the round, you got maybe a 36% chance.
It's more or less a
two
coin
CL
flip.
smoothies
A
per
coin flip
hole.
at the end, yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is playing with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and whoever else is going to be paired with at the American Century Championship, but just randomly inviting people into his group.
Yeah.
On what course were you at?
Oh man, it was just outside of town.
Just Prairie Highlands?
No, it was on an Indian reservation, and it began with a P, and it was so nice and so awesome, and I played so bad. Oh,
But
I'll
you
think of
played
it.
with Patrick and Travis.
In my dream.
You don't have to
Oh,
qualify
right,
with
yeah, I
that.
did.
Yes. Over the weekend, Mick Schaefer played golf with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. That's got to be your best. And then I bet there's a story from one of the round that's got to be the funniest from the weekend.
Started with a P.
Is it Prairie Highlands?
Was it Pagusta?
You got it. You nailed it.
Nailed it. Guys, nice job, man.
Poke Hill?
Was it Panational? Which one was it?
Prairie Highlands? Oh, wait, there's already a P on that.
P Psychiatry? Is it that one? The Royals are 4-5 in the last 9 games, Mick. I don't know if you realize this.
They're 2-2. A better record, 2-2 in the last 4. That's 500 baseball.
That's a 3-3 in the last 6.
The best team in baseball.
Right?
They have not played the Guardians yet.
Well, they will alleviate
Tomorrow.
that starting tomorrow night. It's a small
almost
sample
July.
size,
They
Josh.
haven't played a team in their division.
weird.
That is crazy. I'm parched just thinking about that.
Just a small sample size,
Weird.
Josh. Go ahead and take a drink. Does it have any meaning to you whatsoever that they're 4-5 over the last 9, and it's
No.
been against the Angels and Rays and everything?
No, God, no. Come on. Seriously?
Good to know.
I mean, that's just baseball just kind of evening out. That's like in any other year with any other team, they would be like 8-1 in those 9 or 9-0, right? That this is their hot streak, 4-5.
You know, it is, when you add context, it is the best 9-game stretch for the Royals because at one point they went 5-4 this year. Can you believe they had a 5-4 stretch this year of baseball? But
when was the last time they won a series?
I don't know.
I'm on it.
But 7 of those.
It was in May.
They
I
beat
know.
the Giants in early April.
Well, they did that. Yeah, but they've
gotta
won a
be after
series
that.
since then, though.
Probably.
That was their
where it-
first and only
where it
series
started.
they had won it for
They
a
didn't
while.
beat the Rockies, did they?
I don't think so.
I know they won a game. I think.
Yeah, they went 1 and 2 against the
But in that 9-game stretch
Nationals,
when they
beat
went
the
5-4.
Nationals one or two times.
Just the one.
That's a great question. When they went 5-4 in that stretch, 7 of the 9 games were against Oakland and Chicago White Sox. These 6 of the 9 games were against the Angels and Rays.
They got 3 out of
So
2 out of 3
that's-
against the Padres in May.
I'm sure you can cherry pick another 9 games against 3 other crappy teams.
Oh, I know.
They went 1-8.
They went
Probably,
0
yes.
and 9 in
Or
any of
not.
those.
They went
Yes,
0 and 10 for
Yeah.
a good stretch there, roughly a 10-game stretch when they lost 10 in a row. But they bounced back, so now they're actually 4 and 15 over the last 19 games. Yes, this 4-5 is since the 10-game losing streak.
Blair on Sunday Sound Off last night was running down. You know, you've got the Reds, the Pirates, the Rays, all these
Diamondbacks,
small market
Pirates.
teams who are competitive. Not only that, but better than that. There is no excuse anymore, whatever
No.
the payroll is, for the
No.
Royals to be this bad, for
No.
them to not be competitive.
Not at
And
all.
where's the light? What year does this light show up at the end of this long, dark tunnel? 26? I don't know.
I hope.
Maybe.
I mean, you settle out of court, right? If in 26, if they're competing for a division or just like 500.
I remember I did a podcast with Rustin Dodd when he was covering them for The Athletic back in 2018. We did a weekly Royals podcast. Pod Save the Royals. Thought of it myself. And so I was like, hey, when's this window open again? He's like,
2023.
A lot of people, no. It was like, a lot of people were saying 21, but I'm not thinking, maybe not even till 22. I'm like, oh, God. That's so far away.
We got like
That
4
doesn't
years.
sound like a real year. No.
It's like
And
200
now
weeks of
we're
this
past
podcast.
that by a year or two, and we're saying 26. We hope, but it won't be.
Settle right now out of court. Well, the thing is, like,
Yes.
you look at
But for what? For what? Just meaningful games in September, I would settle for that. Have a shot at the playoffs in September.
Well, I mean,
actually, the playoffs are so big. Make the playoffs.
Yeah, make the playoffs.
Playoffs are so big now.
Yeah, make the playoffs. I mean, there's
14 that make it?
teams that make the playoffs. But you look at like the Diamondbacks 100-loss team, Reds 100-loss team, Pirates 100-loss team, Orioles lost 102 years ago. Like these are all teams that went through a season of 100 losses and then turn it around. So that's why, sort of the rest of the year, which also maybe my favorite stat right now is that if the Royals won 33 games in a row, they'd be a game under 500. Jesus. And they'd be 2 games out of first. So bad. They'd still be 2 games. If Minnesota just played 500 ball the rest of the way and the Royals won 33 straight.
They're just 1 33-game winning streak away.
One hot month.
Close to 500. They're a 34-game winning streak away from being 500.
For being a contender.
One quick 34-game winning streak.
Yeah.
If the movie Moneyball happened over again, we'd still be, 6 games, 8 games out?
What was the record?
27 in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Indians won like 24 in a row a few years back.
So if they won 34 games in a row, they'd be 500.
Wow.
But if they're 41-43 the rest of the way, that's 99 losses.
Oh my God, they have to play light years better than what they have been playing to avoid 100 losses.
Play 500.
More realistically, are they going to avoid 110?
Yeah, that's probably the better question.
Yeah,
is that they avoid 110.
So that'd be like 36-48 then.
I think what the Royals have done is they've done a great job of putting themselves in position to where you can actually root for wins the rest of the way. Because
and not have to worry about not have to worry about losing the first.
Because they're not gonna drop to the 4th worst record in baseball to lose out on the highest percentage because they are 8 games behind the 3rd worst record in baseball and 10 games behind the 4th worst record in baseball. So if they win, like even if they were to get air quotes hot, like those other teams again would have to play 8 and 10, both of them. You'd have to pass both of them in better records to not be one of the bottom 3 records in all of baseball.
So then they would be picking at the top when that Jack Castiglione, the former AD at Mizzou.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
I saw him hit a home run yesterday with a 56-degree launch angle. 56.
He just popped up home run.
That's a sand wedge. No, I get it's a metal bat.
This is the RBI baseball.
But 56. Yes. That's like hitting a sand wedge 300 yards.
He's actually starting tonight.
On the mound, yeah.
On the mound, yeah. But no, they wouldn't get the top pick. They would just have the best odds to win the lottery with the 2 other teams.
Yeah.
All right, math update here, guys.
Yes.
To go 63-109 on the season to just avoid 110, they'd need to go 41-53.
You're wrong. No, 53-109.
What did I say?
63.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's the one place I think I fudged the math at the very end, totally unnecessarily. 41-53 would get you to the 109 loss mark the rest of the way. So this 4 out of 9 pace they're on right now. Got to keep that up.
I guess that would have been easy math if we said 41-43 to get to 99 losses.
What's their record right now?
22-56.
Yeah. Wow.
94 games left.
How they ever won 22 games. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Let's play the Greinke thing real quick. Because I do want to get your thoughts on this, Mick, because you've been around Zach Greinke his entire career, essentially, at least from the beginning to, not his entire career with the time that he spent away from the Royals, but from the beginning to now.
Sure.
When we all got to know Zach Greinke when it was aloof, and then he wanted to go back to single A and learn how to play shortstop, and then he wanted to retire and mow the lawn, and then he talked about retiring like 5 years ago to go be a trash man, which... Hey, do whatever makes you happy. Greinke's just a different cat. But here's Greinke Friday night after his rough outing against the Rays. Take a listen because it's an interesting sound and words from Greinke here.
Kind of felt I did about as good as I could do besides the Siri pitch was a bad one that he hit the 3-run homer on. And just it is what it is, I guess. bunch of hits, a couple bunt hits, and just ended up being really bad results.
Can you walk me through that fifth inning? What were they particularly doing to kind of get you that second and third time through the order?
I mean, just found spots to get hits with. It was a bunt hit, kind of like a flare kind of hit on an inside fastball, and just a ground ball that found a hole. And that's kind of what happened that last inning. And that's what today, a lot of today was, it felt like, but didn't strike out enough guys, and that's what happens.
Did you feel like you were in control of that bat with Ramirez, and he just found the hole? I mean, you had him 0-2, and it looked like you were in command of it, and he just snuck it through.
I mean, you always got to make pitches, and there's never really an at bat I feel like I'm completely in control anymore. The stuff's just not nasty enough for that to be the case. But I felt like I could get him to either put some soft contact or a strikeout, and it ended up being pretty soft contact, but it just was a base hit.
Did you have any feel? What was your feel for your pitches tonight? Was there any ones you wish you might have had back a little bit?
They're all decent. Curveball, didn't really throw a lot, but it didn't feel very sharp when I did throw it. So that was about it.
Zach, it's been almost 2 years since you won on the road, and it looks like a statistical oddity. Some of these games you pitch very well enough to win. Do you make anything of that? Is it just one of those crazy things, or?
I guess I haven't really thought of it. I don't get a lot of wins, period. So.
There's Zach Greinke. The last part was interesting. I haven't really thought I don't get a lot of wins, period. So, but one of the quotes in the middle there, I don't know if this is just an interesting admission by Zach Greinke or if
Stuff's
this has
not
been
nasty.
Said, there's never an at-bat I'm completely in control of anymore. My stuff's just not nasty enough. And I wonder, like, when did that happen with Zach Greinke? Is that recent? Did that happen last year? Is that just general? That's the way when somebody said, did you feel like you were in control of the Franco at bat and then or Ramirez at bat and it got away from you? That just a ground ball up the middle and all of a sudden, they score a couple of runs and he's like, well, I'm never an at bat I'm completely in control of anymore. Like, when does that happen along the way? Because if this is just like Greinke sort of getting into a rut of like, I can't get these guys out. Like, I don't go into a bat thinking I'm in control of this at bat and my pitches aren't there. It's not nasty enough. I'm not winning that much anymore anyway, even with the whole, statistical anomaly of 2 years since I've, won a game on the road. Greinke's a guy that would feel like, at any point in time, he might just be like, hey, Q, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I just,
I think he's always kind of teetered on that edge.
But like when he says, there's not an at bat I'm completely in control of anymore. My stuff's just not there.
Well, I mean,
like, is that where he's just like, you know what, I'm done? I mean, I don't know that he would ever do that in the middle of a season and like sort of quit on his team, but he's the type of personality that would just be like, yeah, I'm not really out here having fun anymore. I used to be able to just tinker with guys and mess with them, and now, like, I can think the game, but I can't. My body can't do what my mind is telling me.
I don't
to
know
do.
how much he's ever had fun out there. I think he's. I think there's
point.
a lot of Nikola Jokic in him, right? In that, like, everybody hates their job, right? He said that. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And so, I mean,
no, not everybody hates their job. Chad, if you're listening, there are people that love their job.
I've always described Greinke as like a guy that could go out and get shelled for 8 runs over 2 innings. He comes back. He doesn't care. He doesn't care, which is actually probably what you want. It's a good thing you want in a great pitcher, baseball player. But then also he could go out and throw 8 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball and come back and not really care.
And not carry it
That's
away.
the scary part, right? It's like, okay, yeah, no, that was good today. Let's move on. What are we doing tonight? And it's always been, I think, a job to him. I can remember one of the first interviews I had with him. He just called up and I asked the stupid, like, lame, hey, what'd you do with your signing bonus money? What are you going to do?
You're the one that asked that question?
Everybody does.
Somebody has to. Somebody's got to ask.
He's like, well, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do is buy the Wi-Fi. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, well, you go to a cheap hotel, like a Super 8,
and the Wi-Fi is free. Right? We go to the Westin and all these really nice hotels in all these big cities, and they charge like $12 for it. I don't get it. The expensive hotels, the Wi-Fi is you got to pay for it. The cheap ones is free. So I'm not buying the Wi-Fi. I'm like, good for you, taking a stance, I guess, on Wi-Fi.
I thought he was saying he's not going to invest in Wi-Fi. Like, I'm not going to invest in this Wi-Fi company.
No.
Nope, not happening. I don't buy it. I'm not
you
falling
like the
for it.
Wi-Fi, just didn't want to pay for it. Who wants to?
No,
wants
I
to
mean,
pay for
right?
it.
I mean, it's ridiculous when it's like, hey, here's, unless you're a member of the Gold Star or whatever.
It feels like an admission of
If you're
guilt.
spending $250 a night on a room, Wi-Fi should be included.
Right. It feels like they're making you pay for it just because they want to twist the knife a little bit. Like it's a power play thing.
You're wealthy enough to do so.
It's a power play by the that's a Wi-Fi power play.
That's what it feels
it's
like.
by big Wi-Fi.
It's
Big
worse on the
Wi-Fi.
planes. Planes are even worse. This flight was even more expensive, and you want to charge me $8 for these 4 hours? No, I should be able to have this.
Big plane also.
But
Big-
I would
big
say,
plane.
this is the first time since 2005, and when he lost 17 games to the Royals, that his ERA has been over 5. So that might be now. This year might be the time where feels like he's not ever in control of an at bat.
Yeah.
Would he be interested in getting traded?
I don't know.
Like I
I
could ask you pretty much anything about Zach Greinke. The answer is I don't know. But that's sort of what's amazing about
Mick,
him.
what do you think your computer thinks about when you turn it off at night?
I'm tired.
Oh, they're very difficult. I'm not sure.
Where's he from? He's originally from Orlando, right?
Florida somewhere.
Winter Park, I think, down
somewhere
there
in Florida.
And so, maybe he wants to just, hey, leave me in Tampa, right? I'm just really close to home.
I'll just stay here.
I'll just stay here if you're going to trade me. Give me a Mike Moustakas, right?
Yeah.
Where the Rockies are playing the Angels. Yeah, trade me to them.
I'll just stay right here.
I'll stay right here,
That's great.
especially after that 25-1. You saying it's my fault that we lost 25-1? Okay.
I think if you lose by 20 runs, or if you beat another team by 20 runs, you just get to pick a player.
You
It's
get
like
to
an
pick their best
expansion draft.
player.
Maybe it's not their best player, but it's like definitely you can protect like 3 guys, and we're taking the 4th.
I agree.
20 runs, man.
I love this new rule.
It's like in a battle back in the medieval times. You
Yes.
beat a team or you beat an opponent. You got to take the king's oldest son as your own. You raise him as your own.
He's in your system now.
Yes.
He's now my son.
Now in your coaching tree.
Well, you would have these the unwritten rules of baseball would just go away because you'd be up like 13-0 and you would still be stealing second. Stealing
We're
second.
trying to
stealing
get
third.
Shohei.
We're trying to get you. He's protected. I don't care.
How many times a year is it like a white elephant thing, where you can only one player can only switch teams like twice in one season?
Yeah.
Or is Ohtani gonna get passed around to half the league?
That'd be great. All right, we'll take a timeout. Learn funniest best next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Men, summer is here. It's a time to vacation, get out.
It's just the Kansas City barbecue just leaking through my pores. Makes me a little slippery out there.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, time for a little Learn Funniest Best. What happened over the weekend? It is presented by Pyramid Roofing. For a free estimate, give them a call, 816-966-1101, or check them out, pyramidroofingkc.com. It's what we learned from the weekend, the funniest from the weekend, the best from the weekend. The four of us go around the room and choose those different things. Here's what I learned from the weekend.
Oh, I can't wait.
You're gonna love these because it's numbers. No, it's not a lot of numbers. But we've talked about the shift, right? Finally, the shift being gone. We've talked about the pitch clock and everything, the differences in baseball this year versus other years. So this is the shift already showing that it's coming into play. 5 hit games by individual players in a season. 5 hit games by individual players. In 2021, the entire season, there were 20 of them. In 2022, the entire season, there were 15 of them. Through June 24th, there's 20 of them already.
Wow, already.
So not even halfway through the season, and there's already 20 individual players have a 5-hit game. There were 20 all of 2 years ago. So no shift. Maybe the pitch clock. Maybe pitchers not being able to take the time to walk around the mound and rest a little bit more.
I love it all.
So, yeah, we're seeing a lot more 5-hit games. So I've learned that even that, because I was looking at him like, oh, it's a 5-hit game for this person. Oh, it's a 5-hit game for that person. I'm like, man, there seems to be a lot of them. And there is, because sprinkled over 162 with every team, having 20 of them, not that big of a deal. Now there might be, 40, 45. So that's one of the things I learned this weekend. Josh, what'd you learn?
You guys see this baseball game? 25-1 final score, Angels and Rockies?
No, what happened?
It was crazy. Well, what I learned was actually when it was still 23-0, as John Boyce tweeted out. In terms of margin of defeat at 23-0, This would rank as the second worst Broncos loss of the last 2 years and the fifth worst Nuggets loss of the last 2 years.
Amazing.
Once it hit 24-0, he tweeted, "If this were a Nuggets game, it would be their worst home loss in about 4.5 years."
Man.
23-0.
Surely the Abs haven't lost by that much.
Seems unlikely.
Okay.
I'll look that one up also, but I just checked and no, that's never happened.
I'm not going to assume that. Somebody will be like, well, surely the Rockies haven't lost by
24.
25, that's tough to do.
No way.
What'd you learn, Mick?
So I learned that Jarris Walker from Houston is not going to have a good career because he was taken 8th in the NBA draft. I learned about the curse of the 8th overall pick.
I didn't know this.
30 years ago, Vin Baker was drafted 8th overall. He is by far the best 8th overall pick taken in that span. He made an all-star game. In the 29 years since, no 8th pick has even made an all-star game in the NBA.
I want to hear the names.
Here's some of the names of the guys that were taken. Now, some guys have had good careers.
Yeah.
Andre Miller, Rudy Gay.
This got traded, by the way. You guys see that?
Larry
Miller,
Hughes.
Rudy Gay.
Ron Harper, which I think was outside the last 29 years. Contavious Caldwell-Pope.
KCP. Got 2 rings.
Channing Frye. Not bad. But here are some, let's see.
It's going to be great. I can't wait to hear these names.
Bo Kimball.
Oh, nice. Okay, Bo Kimball. There we go.
Joe Alexander.
Nope.
Nick Stauskas.
Oh, yeah, Michigan.
Marquise Chris.
Hey, Suns legend.
Washington, right?
Brandon Wright. Chris Wilcox. I believe Maryland.
Yeah.
Al Farouk Aminu.
Was that Wake Forest, I think?
Yeah, sure. TJ Ford.
Texas.
I believe he was the 03 draft. It was a good draft.
Texas.
Rafael Araujo. Oh, Frank DeLaquina. Brandon Knight. Olden Polynice. O'Donnell Foyle. Terrence Ross. Colin Sexton.
Washington.
Jordan Hill. Stanley Johnson.
Arizona.
Those are the 8th picks. Here are
This is
guys,
fun, just me thinking of the colleges.
I
they
really
went to.
like this.
Here are guys that were taken in the past 29 years at number 9.
Okay, great.
Dirk Nowitzki, Tracy McGrady, Amari Stoudemire, DeMar DeRozan. Number 10 at Paul Pierce, Paul George, Joe Johnson,
Fresno
Klay
State.
Thompson was 11th.
Washington State.
Kobe Bryant was 13th.
Philadelphia.
Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, 13.
UK.
3
Louisville.
All-Stars have been taken with the 35th overall pick. Carlos Boozer,
Duke.
DeAndre Jordan,
Texas
A&M. Draymond Green,
Michigan State.
2 All-Stars have been taken with the 47th pick.
I'm so excited.
Ooh, Paul Millsap. I want to say Fresno State.
Paul Millsap.
Is that right?
Oh, man. That San Diego State comes to mind for some reason. So maybe it's Fresno State, San Diego State, Paul Millsap.
Mo Williams.
That was Mo Williams was Michigan State.
Was he? Okay. And then 1 All-Star has been taken with the 60th pick, a pick that didn't even exist until 2004, Isaiah Thomas. I think the newer Isaiah Thomas.
And he went to UW, I thought.
Every one of the top 32 picks in the draft has yielded at least 1 All-Star since 1994, except for 23, 26, and unlucky
Mo
number
Williams
8.
went to Alabama.
I was going to say Alabama, actually.
Damn.
Yeah, gotcha. There's a Mo, somebody. Mo was Michigan State. Anyway, there you go. In the last 4 drafts, no, wait a second. I think Obi Toppin was taken recently
Isaiah
at 8.
Thomas went to Washington. Got that one right.
Yeah, you got that one right.
Right.
That was easy. So there you go. I learned about the curse of the 8th pick.
You got that one right. It's easy. Paul Millsap. You said Fresno. I said San Diego State.
Yeah, I might be thinking Paul George. Didn't he go to Fresno?
Paul George went to Fresno, yes. Millsap went to Louisiana Tech. I didn't know that. Yeah, I would not have guessed that. So
there you go.
San Diego State
the
was
curse
Kawhi.
Of the
we were thinking
8th
of Clippers players. Paul George went to Fresno, San Diego State, Kawhi. We were stuck on Clippers.
Clippers were in San Diego at one
That's
point.
true. That's absolutely right.
Paul Millsap and L'Jarius Sneed, alumni.
I like his brother.
Right?
They played together. They
actually played together.
They played
His
together.
brother Ronnie Millsap, hell of a singer.
Is he?
You ever heard of Ronnie Millsap?
No.
Country singer.
Yeah, I'm going to take your word for it.
Didn't know that one.
So You did or did not, Josh?
Did not know that
yeah,
one.
I
Sorry,
did not.
Mick.
It's 0 for 2 here. I bet Dylan loves his entire collection. He, you know
Negative.
what? All right, Dylan, what'd you learn besides Ronnie Millsap?
So I learned about the existence of a product called Hot Shot. This was used, apparently it is used to fix cramps when you need it done in an absolute minute or very fast time period, and it seems to be the most god-awful thing you can ingest on the planet that isn't going to harm you. And just judging off the reactions, we had it looks like...
it was an NWSL player,
yes,
right?
NWSL player, Michelle Cooper,
the Current had
with
tweeted
the
about
Current,
it. Yeah.
and then Alyssa
With the
Thompson,
Current, yes.
who had much more of a harsher reaction than our hometown.
Spitting it out. And
yes. And I don't know if that was just Hot Shot that was coming out, but
So
who
you
knows?
drink it?
Yeah, apparently
It's not
the
like it's a
logic
cream?
is that it's super, super spicy.
Yes.
And so it like distracts your brain from the cramping?
It's essentially the bite on the towel so you forget the pain trick in a bottle.
Wow.
And you feel, here's the what to do section of Hot Shot. You feel a cramp on or starting. You drink Hot Shot, which is super spicy shot. Hot Shot overwhelms the nerves in your mouth and throat. Within 30 seconds, your newly stimulated nerves stop the signal from going to your muscle and sending it to a calming signal down there, and essentially describing the fact that there's so much pain in your mouth that you forget about the cramp. So really, it's not fixing the cramp.
It's the old joke about like, oh, your arm hurts. You want me to help you forget about that hand injury you got there? Yeah. Let me see your other arm. Oh, I was gonna break it. You weren't gonna think about that one anymore, right?
Yep.
No, my mouth and throat, the nerves are so overwhelmed. It's the first time in my life my mouth and throat have been overwhelmed, my nerves, that now I don't even think about the cramping. Or just my entire body. My brain is not thinking about cramping. The muscle's like, whoa, what's going on up there? Hey, everybody, look over there. Before we get together and cramp and punch this muscle a lot of times, look over there. Look what's going on in our body's throat and mouth. The nerves are overwhelmed.
So I am offering to give it a test run.
I think that's a great idea.
Anyone would like a guinea pig, I will be the guinea
Yes.
pig, and I will do the test run for the zone.
I think we should all have to do
Katie
this.
is doing it for the Border Patrol, potentially,
Okay.
allegedly, and
Oh, he
I
is?
will throw my hat in for the zone.
I think we just do it as
And
a
I
show.
will not drink water for a day, so we can see if it works.
Well, let's not.
Maybe not a day. We'll just get the cramps going.
So Bukaty hasn't tried this before, like even as a soccer player. Because isn't this like a soccer thing, or is this with
Correct.
all different types of sports?
I think it's a fairly new thing as well.
I just learned about it. Maybe that's Dylan's learned.
Yeah, I just learned about it. Okay, what about the funniest from the weekend? Josh, you start us off with this.
The funniest thing in the weekend for me was this this question tweeted out by DV Dietz, and I need you guys as I need you to be a part of this one, okay? Joey Chestnut versus Usain Bolt. They both have to eat 5 hot dogs and then run 100 meters. Who finishes first?
Oh, my goodness. Joey.
I think that's the right answer. The question then becomes, how far does the race have to be before Usain Bolt gets back in on it?
Maybe a quarter mile, maybe 400.
Because he's going to have a huge advantage on the hot dog eating.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
100 meters just isn't enough time.
I tried a couple 4th of Julys ago to get, put 3 away really quick. Oh, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Let's say that Usain Bolt...
You said it's 5 hot dogs?
5 hot dogs.
Man, I think maybe he can maybe beat him in a mile. Joey could.
No, not in a mile.
Well, a mile. I think a mile is too far. Because
he might
the
beat
200
him by 5 minutes.
I'm going to say the 200.
He'll probably beat him by maybe 5 minutes.
I think that's not enough. Because I think Joey's going to out-eat Usain Bolt by more than... He might out-eat him for a minute, by a minute at least. Think about that. He's going to...
it's going to be way more
down
than
those
a minute.
5.
I think it's way more than a minute.
I don't know.
No, it's only 5.
Only 5. I'm telling you. I tried to do 3 real quick.
Okay.
It didn't happen.
Did you dip them into the Kool-Aid or the water or whatever?
I've been eating all day long and drinking all day long.
There you go.
What if we made it 2?
2, that
Usain Bolt
more.
wins.
Not in 100, I don't think.
I think he wins in 100.
No chance.
He's
going to beat him by more than 10 or 20 seconds.
World record pace was just under 10 seconds. That's Usain Bolt at peak execution. Let's give him 100 meter in 10 seconds.
And we'll say Joey runs it in 30.
That's like that.
So 20 seconds.
20. He's going to make up more than 20 seconds worth of time by inhaling 2 or 3 hot dogs.
Right, but do you have to fully then swallow the hot dog, or is it just in the mouth?
In the mouth.
Ooh, good question. I don't know. Can you
Whatever,
chew it while running?
Because Usain Bolt, if he just shove it all in his mouth and then run.
You've got eventually got to have an open mouth. You got to eventually show.
He can
show an
breathe through
empty
his
cavern.
nose. He's got the lung capacity.
No, he could definitely
Joey
eat
Chestnut
and
does
run.
not.
2 or 3, that's the threshold you want to talk about on the
I think
100.
we're overestimating Joey Chestnut's ability to run.
I think you're underestimating how long it would take to eat those 3 hot
yes.
dogs.
It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Like he would
I love the
probably run
question.
100 in less than 30 seconds. I'm guessing.
My only regret is that I didn't just butt this in at 12:02 a.m.
Yeah.
because or 10:02 a.m. because that could have been the whole show.
This reminds me of the beer mile. You guys ever heard of the beer mile?
No, I haven't heard of it.
You chug a beer, run
Okay.
a lap, chug a beer, run a lap, chug a beer, run a lap, chug a beer, run a lap.
Oh.
And like this has become like a competition kind of worldwide. There's guys that do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, would.
That's not okay.
Do I have to keep the beers down?
Huh?
Do I
A
have to keep the
lot
beers
of them
down?
don't.
Okay, I was going to say.
Well, and they do room temperature beer because it goes down easier, I guess, than cold.
Interesting.
But that's satisfying.
But they're like no drops. You have to shake the can. It's gone. And
Shake
they
the
run.
can.
I had friends do it. I missed out on it. Would have been fun.
Hey, you know what, Mick? I'll drink 5 beers with you and then like walk up and down a sidewalk or something. If you want to get that rush.
What was the funniest for you, Mick?
I learned about KFC's Twitter account. They they have, KFC has 11 herbs and spices.
Yeah.
They follow 6 guys named Herb and the 5 Spice Girls. I thought that was hilarious. And so I got on. It's actually now they follow 4 Spice Girls and 7 herbs. So I wonder if they've changed up the recipe a little bit to where it's now 7 herbs and 4 spices. But they follow a guy named Herbert Jones, a guy named Herb Scribner, Herb Wesson, Herb Waters, Herb Dean, Herb Sindek, Herb Alpert, and then they follow Victoria Beckham, Melanie C., Emma Button, and Melanie Janine Brown.
That's great.
And that's hilarious. I didn't know. Do you know the 11 herbs and spices they have?
No, I don't.
No, and if you say them, they'll kill you.
Oh, okay.
It's like the
Moving on.
Krabby, it's like the Krabby Patty formula.
Didn't know that.
Do you know the 11 herbs and spice? I don't know.
I know.
I'd
He
love
was
to
just
know.
going to read them.
Yeah, sure. If you looked them up, I'm sure they're publicly available. I was making a joke.
Salt, thyme, basil, oregano, celery salt, black pepper, dried mustard, paprika, garlic salt, ground ginger, white pepper.
I always leave out the ground ginger. That's
The
why it doesn't
ginger's
taste the same.
I mean, the ginger is definitely the curveball in there, right?
Yep. What was the funniest for you, Dylan?
It is going to have to be the Tech Wars boxing match that will be officially happening, allegedly per Chael Sonnen 21 minutes ago, that Zuck has agreed to fight Elon and Dana has set it up for UFC 300.
No way.
This is there.
When is it?
really?
So let me get the 300 date. I just saw this.
Take my money. Take my money.
Make an audible because this is awesome. He's now posting memes about Zuck, and also, if you didn't see, Zuck asked for his location, I think a week ago.
Do his
as
friends
well.
call him Zuck?
His friends call him
friends with
Zuck.
him,
I'm
Dylan?
referring
You
to,
close?
me and the group.
call him
we refer
Erberg.
to him as Zuck.
You
But
certainly can't call him Winklevoss.
Well,
That's the guy behind him
Winklevoss
now.
is the intern's name.
So Zuckerberg is, he's a actual. He's in mixed martial arts tournaments now. He wins them.
Zuckerberg is?
He wins them?
Now that's also controversial.
Are these
because
against kids?
Yeah.
How much does he pay to have these people
There's
throw
actually
the
a video of
fights?
him losing, and then they do a restart, and then he wins, and they actually gave him first and second place. This is a real thing. I'm serious.
So Kim Jong-un's
That's what
got
I was gonna say.
shot an 18 on 18 holes.
Absolutely what that
He had 18 hole-in-ones.
So I will be getting the date for UFC 300, and you'll know where I'll be at. In front of a television.
My funniest from the weekend, because we got to hurry up here. A guy named Nick Huber put out a troll tweet, which was funny. People did not think it was a troll tweet. He said, friend sent me some bourbon that is supposedly pretty hard to find. I think it's my new favorite. And it's a picture of, a glass with some bourbon in it, some ice. There's a lime sitting in there. And it's Pappy. And then next to it is a caffeine-free Diet Coke. And we're like, you just screwing Pappy. He's like,
so
what?
good.
He's like, what? I didn't want the caffeine.
Tastes so
that's
good.
why.
Tastes
That's why I
so
had
good.
caffeine-free. Are you talking about
That's
that?
really
Like
good.
it's. I didn't want to stay up all night. It's not a big deal. Like, okay, maybe next time I'll try it with a regular Coke, but I don't see the problem. Just kept replying to everybody that thought it was real.
So good.
What was the best for you, Mick?
Guns N' Hoses. I got to see it for a second straight year at Municipal Auditorium on Saturday night. It was my anniversary, so I took my wife to a boxing match. She'd been begging me for years and years to do a boxing match for one of our anniversaries, so we did. But it's great. Of course, it's cops, the gun side, and against firefighters, the hoses side. The firefighters dominate. I think they won like 9 of 10 matches.
Nice.
And but it goes to a great cause. Safe Foundation. It's basically the people that show up the very next day at fallen officers' families' doorsteps with a check to help them get through the next few months' bills, all that stuff. And so, good cause, a lot of fun.
Dylan?
The best was I smoked my first brisket.
Oh, okay.
No.
Nice. Congrats, man.
Yes. So
How long?
I smoked my first fool.
Low and slow? How slow?
Low and slow on a gas Weber because I had to learn how to do it the old-fashioned way, no Traeger. It took from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
What are is it an hour for every pound or hour for every 2 pounds or something like that?
I was learning, so I do not know that off the top of my head, but I'm sure you're right.
How did it turn out taste-wise?
I'll send you a picture because I haven't tasted it just yet.
Oh.
I had to be up early, so I had my old man do the rest of it.
Nice.
Okay.
My best from the weekend is learning that Happy Gilmore committed to Ball State to play golf. There is a golfer named Happy Gilmore.
I love it.
Real name, Happy Gilmore, committed to play golf at Ball State, and he got a big shout-out from Adam Sandler on that. So he is playing golf. If your name's Happy Gilmore, you're going to be a golfer. So now there's a kid who's going to college named Happy Gilmore, named after the movie, going to Ball State. Your best from the weekend, Josh?
James Holzhauer, the guy from Jeopardy, tweeted, Shohei Ohtani struck out 0 hitters and went 1 for 7 at the plate, and Mike Trout was removed for a pinch hitter as the Angels defeated the Rockies 25-1.
Nice. That's awesome. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Compensated dramatization.
What if your car wreck case settled for $1,000 and you later found out that it may have been worth over $100,000?
Insurance companies try to trick you into taking a quick, cheap settlement. Don't fall for it. Call me. My team will get you what your case is worth.
I didn't take that fast, cheap settlement. I called Mike and his team after my wreck, and they got me $125,000.
Call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Real people are getting real and lasting pain relief at QC Kinetics.
Who would have thought that I would be in better shape now than after I got out of the Marines at 22?
It's great to be active again.
I've played 36 holes multiple days in a row without pain. Everything is great.
Are you tired of living with chronic joint pain? QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine to restore and repair damaged tissue. Natural healing agents from your own body, so your body can heal itself the way it was designed. With no pain pills, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime.
It was super successful, and I recommend everyone seek out QC Kinetics as an alternative to surgery.
Thanks to QC Kinetics, quality of life is just a lot better.
Definitely changed my life.
Call now to see if regenerative medicine could be the answer you've been looking for. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics have proven protocols that can give you lasting relief now, and the consultation is free.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Patriotic spirit is here to stay with 11% off everything at Menards. Pick up an Olympus 3x5-foot American flag today. It's made in the USA out of durable, tear-resistant material that will keep your flag flying for years to come. Show your patriotism and get yours now for just $26.69 after 11% off. Good through the 4th of July. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Attention everyone, are you ready for the summer heat? Let ProBuilt Pool and Patio get you started on your summer prep. As the largest provider of fiberglass swimming pools, we have the biggest selection and offer the fastest installation times. At ProBuilt Pool and Patio, we proudly stand behind every home we serve. We make dreams come true and deliver them right to your backyard. The best time to get a pool is right now. Call today for your free quote. ProBuilt Pool and Patio, 816-786-3893.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Charvarius Ward, you anticipate maybe he can at least do some things in practice this week?
Yeah, we'll see what Sharkavius, yes.
Sure, Davies.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The trailer for the new Mission Impossible that comes out July 12th is there. I asked Mick if there was part of the trailer was him jumping off the cliff on the motorcycle. And I asked you if you had heard the story. Tom Cruise told when they were making the movie, he wanted to shoot that scene first. Because if he died, he didn't want them to have to go through a bunch of rewrites if they did that scene late, because he does all of his own stunts.
He does?
Oh, yeah, he does every one of his own stunts.
So he jumped off?
So he did that stunt, jumping off a cliff on a motorcycle.
They show him, like, landing without an edit or anything, or is it,
No, it's probably something where, like, there's a parachute or something that but, like, all of those Mission Impossible movies when he's on, like, the roof of that skyscraper, like, that's Tom Cruise.
What, on the train when it's going really fast?
It's Tom Cruise.
Wow. He filmed it and edited it, too.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But he's also...
That sounds impossible.
Well, my mission is to see if he really does these things. I don't know. Not really true.
Hi, Kansas City. Kevin Harlan here. I know being a champion means you're a leader in your field, and you always rise above your competition. That's why, when summer temperatures get extreme, our house has a Champion Premium